Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sinking of the Perdua, which is a one-shot as part of our Untold Tales strand. Thank you for joining us tonight for an evening of Dungeons and Dragons. My name's Chloe, and I will be your Dungeon Master tonight, and we are thrilled to be streaming at twitch.tv/D&D and twitch.tv/Adventurers Wanted. For anyone who is new to D&D or has kind of stumbled upon this without being totally sure what it is, everyone here, the people on my left and right, are playing fantasy characters in a fantasy universe. They all have their own individual characters with their character sheets that tell them what they can do, what they can't do, like what they're amazing at, special powers, etc. You can see kind of Shamini showing some of it off there. 9 times out of 10, they will be rolling dice that look like this. There's some very blurry dice, but they're 20-sided dice, and they will add numbers from their sheet to those dice to see if they are incredibly cool and successful at doing things, or if they're not so good and not good things happen to them. Between me describing the world, because they will play their characters and I will play just everything else, the people they meet, the shipwrecks they explore, whatever underwater animals they encounter, etc. Between me doing all of that and them describing what their characters do and some dice rolls to keep things unpredictable, we will tell a story together. We will meet all these characters very shortly, but just before then, a couple of things. This stream will run for about 3 hours. There'll be about a 5 to 10 minute break somewhere in the middle. We are delighted to be sponsored by D&D Beyond, who are the official digital toolset for Dungeons & Dragons. D&D Beyond offers a compendium of all the game's rules, the lore, the adventures, digital tools like character builders, digital character sheets, which everyone here is using, and you can see if you click on that way, over that side, the overlay that we have, you can see everyone's character sheets. And they also now have the Digital Dice Alpha, which offers 3D dice that you can roll just with a click of your character sheet. It is available to anyone with a Master or Hero tier subscription, and you can sign up today at dndbeyond.link/Adventurers Wanted, I believe is where you need to go for that. We are also delighted to be sponsored by the wonderful Ultra Pro, who help you get your tabletop organised with character folios, dice bags, dice sets, and much more. They do a huge number of things and are a leading supplier of and manufacturer of sports and gaming collectibles. And they do things like this amazing little dude, who is a plushy Xanathar dice bag, which is awesome. So head over to ultrapro.com to see all the cool things that they do. We also play with a diverse group of players who play a diverse set of characters with wide-ranging sexual and gender identities. Our tables are trans-positive, and we encourage and champion trans players and characters in our games. Myself and the players may portray characters that are of a different gender to their own. However, we aim to avoid misgendering, but we acknowledge it happens, and we have a policy in place for correcting it. If we have missed an instance, however, we are open to being corrected, so do let us know if you think one's been missed. Lastly, you might see people holding up cards or paper like this that says pause on. Everyone flash your pause cards. Or people might be talking about lines and veils. These are some of the safety tools we're using in game. For instance, if someone holds up their pause card, we will take a brief break while we check in with everyone and make sure that everyone's comfortable. And if lines are mentioned, we will stay away from that subject or content. And if something has a veil drawn over it, it will kind of happen, but off screen, as it were. I won't go into further detail about it here, but there'll be some links in the chat if you're interested about any of those safety measures and mechanics. So let's get on to the characters. So these 4 individuals are members of an adventuring party who have been drawn together by their kind of erstwhile friend Summit Yseldiath, and a very wealthy to-do individual who lives in Neverwinter. However, following a series of mysterious messages in bottles that have been washing up on the shore of Neverwinter, both promising that there is a shipwreck, a short sail offshore, where anything that has ever been lost can be found. Their friend Summit has asked these individuals to come together, find an object that will prove that the ship exists and indeed is somewhere where anything lost can be found, and is offering them a huge amount of money for it. So if you would all like to introduce your characters, if you could give us your name, your pronouns, your character's name, your character's pronouns, and then a little bit of flavour about your character, a bit of info about them. Kicking off with Grace.
Hi, I'm Grace. I use they, them pronouns, and I'll be playing Bloom, who uses he, she, or they pronouns. Bloom is a half-orc, but is also half-elf rather than half-human. And is a forge cleric. So they are tall, seriously tall. They're huge and broad across the shoulders, but then come quite narrow in the hips and sort of like draw the line between that more typical elven body shape and the more typical orcish body shape, with sort of slate grey skin, and they're wearing flowing silken grey clothes with accents of really bright orange underneath a scarred black leather apron and chainmail that sort of clinks as they walk. Oh, they're a smith in Neverwinter is the main thing that they do when they're not having arguments about divinity over lunch with Ked.
Speaking of whom?
Smooth. That's very smooth. Hello. My name is Reese. My pronouns are he, him. And I will be playing Kedvis Vron, who is also known as Ked, who is a horn-billed Aarakocra cleric, a knowledge cleric. So I think bookish is the best way of describing him, but bookish with an enormous beak. Got a lot of nez for those pins nez. That's
bookish and beakish.
Yeah. Swish. That's a much better pun. Damn. So Kedvis is a librarian, tends to wear kind of light leather armor and a couple of robes over the top, to allow easy access to flying up to tall shelves and finding books. And he has thoroughly enjoyed the dogmatic discourse with Bloom.
You're supposed to hand over to someone else, Reese.
And also enjoys taking meticulous notes, much like...
Oh, hi, it's me. Right.
Smooth.
My name's Sharmini. I use she, her pronouns. I'm also going to take a moment to apologise for the sipping. Oh God, the sipping and the coughing, which I'm sorry, this will continue in a bit. I'm recovering, it's all good. I'm playing Pegsy. Pegsy is a human fighter. She's a battle master. She's well cool. She is sort of tall and relatively strong, short blonde hair. She has a notebook which, as her good friend Ked mentioned, has many meticulous notes, logs, details about what we're doing. She mostly likes running in places, stabbing things with swords, but always in a very organised and sensible fashion, very well planned out. Unlike...
Oh, good. Nice. Hello everyone, I'm Steve. I use he, him pronouns, as does my character V, which is short for Vival Fasea, who is an Eladrin warlock. His patron is Titania. It is a Pact of the Chain warlock. So I have a sprite familiar called Robin. V is quite tall and quite a little rangy, not much muscle on him. Tends to wear lots of layers of kind of light kind of blue and mid-grey, with occasional kind of highlights of white, but like no matter how many layers he wears, he still manages to have everything kind of open down to the mid-chest. He has got kind of bright white stubble, probably about roughly the same length as mine, but then hair that kind of just goes in every single direction. Starts off kind of blue and then fades up to white, and got lots of white kind of chest hair as well. Yes, and he just wanders around the world as he likes, really, and just tends to doesn't spend much time in the city, but on the occasions he does, he will turn up shortly before or during trouble. Whether or not he brings it or causes it, or it's just a coincidence, no one seems to know.
Beautiful. So now that we have met you all, we find these characters on a very small sailboat, a little bit off the shore of Neverwinter. You have been introduced to Redfern, who is basically the person taking you there. It's an incredibly small boat. Redfern occasionally casting a few cantrips and such, like just to put a little bit more wind into the sails of this boat to carry you off into the sea. And you've all been gifted by Summit, your kind of friend and patron in this, who has simply asked you to bring back a plain silver ring that is engraved with his name inside. Simply, not even as anything of worth, but because he has heard of the fact that this is apparently a shipwreck where anything lost can be found. All he needs is proof. That is the one thing that he wants right now. And if you can find this ring, which was lost many, many years ago, that is proof enough for him. And he has furnished you, because some of the messages in bottles recommended it and mentioned potions of water breathing, has furnished each of you with a potion of water breathing. Now, these messages in bottles you've heard a little bit about, but they have just been written. It says, come to the Perdua, anything lost can be found, adventurers welcome, water breathing required, in different versions of these messages. And it's created a bit of a stir around Neverwinter. Redfern seems quite excited about this, but isn't really an adventurer himself. Redfern is a halfling who has like a shot, kind of think Merida in Brave. He has this huge frizz of ginger hair that goes right down to his waist, and occasionally is kind of adjusting the sail and such like, but sometimes just casting cantrips, and is sitting there quite excited about taking some adventurers out. And as you start going along, Redfern goes, something I should clarify to you is I'll go as far as that howling fog, but I'm not going to go, I can wait at the howling fog, but I don't really want to go into that. So from there on, I assume you're adventuring types, you know how to kind of deal with fog?
Assuming that the howling fog is not some kind of fanciful bar, unfortunately.
I have never fought fog. Pixie looks at her sword, just like, oh dear.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it is fog, because it's just the fog. So, because I've not seen this shipwreck, but each night since the bottles have been starting to arrive, there's kind of a fog that you can see at night. And apparently, when it's real quiet, some folks they hear it howl, which obviously fog ain't meant to do.
Don't worry, we'll kill it. Kill fog.
I do not think we will be killing a fog today.
Yeah, if Peggy wants to go in stabbing wind and mist, then I'm all for letting her.
Going to give it a jolly good try, at least.
Absolutely. I think we should take bets on how long she lasts.
Against the wind, I mean.
Yeah, well, just until she tires herself out. I mean.
Seems rigged to me, but it's worth a watch.
You know what? If you actually want to know how you're going to do, I've got these cards. They're kind of like, some people don't really like them, but I think they're quite fun. And pulls out what is essentially, or the Forgotten Realms equivalent of tarot cards, and goes, I could like tell your fortune and tell you how it's going to go. Like, they're really good.
How much is this going to cost us? I'm still saving up. This is the big last job. We need to save all that money for retirement.
I know, I wasn't good. I mean, now
away on cards.
I mean, now you mention.
Redfern, my friend, I would gladly and happily find out what's going on, what's going to happen for me on top of that boat over there.
Amazing. And sorry, I didn't catch your name. Battle Master lady.
Pexie.
I wasn't actually, until you said now, I wasn't thinking of charging for it. Is it the kind of thing I should charge for?
Depends if you tell people the right things or not.
It is the kind of thing that you can, even if you don't tell people the right things, you can get away for charging for it. A lot of gullible people out there will believe anything, so you don't say any old nonsense.
Oh no, I'm not in the business of lying.
You probably charge more then if it's true.
Oh,
I'd recommend it.
well, I'm happy to do it for free for you lot, because you seem to be getting yourselves ready for quite the thing, so it's probably a useful thing to know, I guess.
That is incredibly generous of you. Thank you.
Oh,
we do this all the time. I wouldn't worry about us.
Oh, you go to shipwrecks where you can find anything that has ever been lost all the time?
No, usually more.
Not specifically this exact situation, but we do adventure
dungeons and things.
Oh, I mean, we tend to deal with a lot of goblins, kobolds, and
Monsters.
goblins.
Oh wow!
More along that sort of line.
We did do a haunted library.
I hated the library one.
Oh, I did enjoy the haunted library. I did not. I forgot.
Is that like
the haunted library?
Ghost
no
books?
wonder you forgot. It's like, how many times did you get hit over the head by that tome? Like, I don't know what you expected.
Eight and above.
Again, I'm sorry about that, but you were really annoying me.
I got hollow bones, my friend. I am fragile.
Look, if we can fight ghosts, we can fight fog.
All right.
We got this.
Makes sense.
Gonna write down in the log. We got this.
I'll let me. This takes a little bit of time, a bit of. Do each of you? Would each of you like it? Because I could do it for each of you, but I don't want to.
If it's free.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
Even if it is not free, I'm happy to serve my associates here.
Oh no, I'll bring me back something nice from the boat, I guess. If you find anything nice, but all right.
Sort of payment? Are we required to bring us something?
How about you
I'm
tell
being
us?
so stingy.
I'm just
Hey, Redfern,
saving up.
if you can tell me something about my fate that I don't know, I'd be wildly grateful for it.
Oh well, here we go then, and starts kind of splitting these cards in various different ways, and you can see him kind of shuffling, unshuffling, and then kind of laying them out in different configurations. Could each of you please roll me a D100? Because it's a Chloe game, so of course there's a D100 table.
What is this? What is this?
Sweet.
Chloe, I would
Done.
like to ritual cast Find Familiar while he's
Well, where'd you
Absolutely.
go?
everyone else first, and I want to look like I'm really not paying attention at all, and like just be at the back of the boat, and then try and summon Robin,
Yeah.
so that he is the other side of Redfern to me.
Okay.
And as soon as I do that, I make sure I'm looking entirely the opposite direction, but use my I can't remember the name of the feature, but I'm going to look through Robin's eyes to see what's going on, and looking particularly at the different types of cards and things.
Okay. Could you roll me a performance on looking like you don't care? Just
Yes,
remember,
yes, I
you
can.
will be blinded and deafened whilst you are using Robin's senses.
Well, I'm going to be pretending that I am like mimicking the calls of the birds and trying to get it right. So I'm going to be really annoying anyway, and people would probably just
Okay.
not pay much attention to me.
What's your performance?
15.
Oh, you do a pretty respectable job. And what does Robin look like, or is Robin currently invisible?
I didn't know Robin could be invisible. If Robin could be invisible for
think
the
so.
moment, then that would be perfect.
I believe so. I will double check that I'm not completely making up stuff about
No, it's
familiars
canon
there.
now.
It is canon now. You are the GM. You have spoken.
This is me just having a
That's it,
little.
shut up.
That's definitely the right word. It's definitely it.
Thanks.
Pretty sure. Yeah. Oh no, you can just you can dismiss it to make it disappear, leaving behind a physical form. But actually, I think it is visible in some way.
What time is it?
Of day.
Yes.
It's midday-ish, a little bit past. It's a bit overcast. There's not kind of like bright sunlight pouring down.
12:07 overcast. Carry on.
Can you give me a quick description of what Robin looks like, and then we'll go through everyone's fortunes?
I think Robin is very, very small with like leaf-like wings, shock of bright green hair, and probably again in lots of layers. I think it kind of picked up a few of these kind of styles, but it tends to wear kind of browns and greens, slightly more muted, but with occasional one bit just being really garish.
Cool. So Robin is kind of just behind. Redfern hasn't noticed Robin yet, looking at these cards. And what were everyone's D100 rolls?
For Bloom, a 46.
Oh, I did not roll a D100.
For Ked, 25.
25. Steve?
I got a 2.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Oh no, that's the bad fortune face that Chloe just pulled.
I got an 84.
84 for Pegsy. Because you realise that Redfern isn't doing like someone's fortune and then another person's and another person's. This is doing it for all of you as a group, and so it looks a little bit more intricate than kind of real world tarot readings that you may have seen for one individual. And kind of looks at each of you. Let's go in the order that everyone gave them. Let's start with Bloom. Right, so your one, you see this picture here, and you see someone who's kind of carrying a large number of sticks and swords, for instance. This basically, it's about that you have some kind of burden, but it's like a responsibility, and normally it's to do with knowledge and to do with secrets. So I don't know if you're holding onto any secrets or anything like that, or there's some kind of maybe a responsibility you have within this group, but that's what I'm kind of getting of coming from your immediate future. By the way, I should say, obviously, like some people don't like what I say, but it's just the cards, it's not me. And Ked, was it?
Was indeed, my friend.
So again, I'll just reiterate, like it's the cards, it's not me.
My friend, I'm no stranger to the future. He's okay. He's fine.
Oh, okay. So this card here, and you see someone who is peering through like kind of an opening in a tree. It's about imprisonment and kind of restriction. So obviously those kind of things, obviously it might be imprisonment or restriction in a more abstract sense, or it might be quite a literal being restricted or unable to leave somewhere.
Lucky to be forewarned, you know.
True, exactly. And then sorry, do you want to know? Would you like to know? Looking over
All right, tell me, what do you think?
Right, well, yours suggests this is your dominant card pushing forward one that's just like on this kind of small crate in the middle of the boat, and it is of an individual on a hilltop. This suggests like a need for distancing, for being cautious and planning quite thoroughly, of thinking and not running into things, basically. That's what I'm getting. You seem like the
you should
type.
take this seriously.
Are you sure about that? You might want to check again. And I cast Minor Illusion to make the figure on the hill V, and just like looking really cool, probably with like juggling knives and stuff, and Robin in the background. And then I'm going to speak through Robin, going, "I'm really quite powerful. I think I've got this covered." So the voice comes from behind.
Yeah, your voice comes through, Robin.
Ked is going to reach over and just smack Vi in the shoulder. So don't tease anyone, okay? It's not nice.
Hey,
Redfern's here is trying to show us his art. We're going to try and. Sorry, please do continue. I'm sorry.
Redfern, I'm just having a bit of fun. I'm just trying to lighten the mood a little. It got a little bit serious there for a while. I'm not entirely sure. I don't like serious. Let's, just lighten
12,
up.
13. V ignores important warnings.
Right. Pegsy, you were the last person to roll.
Give me a good one. People pay more when it's a good one.
Right. Well, I will. I mean, this is your dominant card, pushing forward one that shows actually kind of aptly someone in a small boat in the middle of a wide open ocean.
Oh, that is clever. I see what you've done there.
I didn't. It's about reading fates and stuff. It's not me. Like I don't want you to think that like I'm not mad. Like I don't have magic like and points to V like some people do. But this is it just means it's kind of representative of sacrifice and release, but like those being two sides of the same coin. Of obviously sacrificing things has a negative connotation, but release has a positive one, and it's about some aspect of that. So I don't know if there is something you might want to sacrifice or release, but it feels like that's kind of coming your way.
Thanks very much. I'm on a boat. Bloom's carrying a lot of swords. I think this came out quite well.
Yeah,
Bloom does carry swords. You see, it's very clever.
I think if you had seen Bloom's expression when her card was withdrawn, it sort of went from the like, haha, yes, this will be fine, love this, to the like just and just sort of like just sort of slightly frown and slightly withdraw and just
slightly burdened, one might say.
Slightly burdened.
Does anyone else have some water in their ears at all? Because I have had water in my ears for the last like 2-3 minutes, and I cannot seem to shake it. It's a little.
Robin, go and have a look, will you?
I'm gonna go have a look as well.
So Robin kind of just goes over.
I mean, that's the problem with only having an internal ear, isn't it?
I was going to say, like, where Pegsy
It's
fails to find the ear.
It's because the water gets trapped between the oracles and all the rest. Sorry, I mean this is completely that's a non sequitur of some sort. It's just been bugging me for the last 2-3 minutes. But thank you very much, Redfern, for your very.
Exactly
I
what
checked. You don't have ears. Sorry.
Exactly what do you want me to do about it?
It's more just it's just in there.
Try blowing really hard.
And blows really hard into your ear. Did that help?
It seems to have pushed some of the water even further in. It's fine. It's fine.
You're getting on a bit, Ked. This is probably just what happens. You get water in your ears, your hair turns grey, things like that.
During this, Redfern has gone back to kind of maintaining sales and stuff and has cleared up all the little cards, and you've got closer and you can now see this fog that kind of sits right on the top of the ocean's water that is approaching. You're starting to get to the edge of it, and you can just about see the shape of a ship or a shipwreck beyond it, but it's incredibly difficult to actually make out any detail because of this oddly swirling thick fog. And Redfern slows the ship down and kind of loosens the sail, so it's not going to get any closer. Right, well, I can wait here until sunset. At that point, I need to, for safety's sake, I have to go back, but I will wait here until then. So you've got plenty of time, but this is kind of as far as I'm really. I don't stab things or go into libraries with ghost books and stuff. So this is kind of where I leave you with it really.
Well, Redfern, we appreciate your help, and we are of course grateful for your company, your assistance, and the information you have given us.
Thanks.
And for this, I will pass this on for you. And Ked will give Redfern a bookmark. It's
Is
just
it very evidently a bookmark, or what does it look like?
It's a thin leather bookmark with a little ribbon frilling at the bottom, and it's it doesn't look expensive, but it is very much it's got the initials of the 4 of the adventurers kind of like imprinted on it, and on the back it just says thank you.
Right. Thanks. That's really nice of you.
Just it's just a small way of saying thank you.
I appreciate it. Well, I mean, I'll see you very soon, right?
I look forward to it.
I think it's giving it to you now in case you don't come back. Anyway, lovely to meet you.
I mean, the best luck that you've got is that if you lose it while we're in there, we might find it and be able to bring it back.
It would save some time.
True. Yeah, so I don't really know how. I mean, I guess you could swim. But
I think we're going to swim. I can't
I would
fly,
feel
so.
Well, I'd feel more comfortable in the air, but I mean, I'm gonna tell you folks how to be. But can I just Ked is going to just reach forward and touch the front
Yeah.
of the boat, and just cast light on it, and. Redfern, this is just a little thing, just a brief thing for us, just to help us with a little bit of guide. You know how it is. Does that make any notable difference to the fog?
It's everyone can roll perception with a little bit more light. So that light will only last for an hour if you kind of just leave it going.
Fog famously works great when you just shine lights
When
on
you
it.
just shine a light on it, yeah.
Brighter!
Yeah, but fog doesn't also normally howl, so it's safe to think that maybe it's not normal fog. What are your perception rolls?
14.
Goodness.
Sorry, what was that, Steve?
14.
14?
Oh, delicious. Oh.
Reese?
Saying high wisdom characters. That's a 29 for
Oof.
Bloom.
We're level 5.
A paltry 19 for Ked.
So, Pegsy does not see what's it
fog.
like. Pegsy is presumably just writing down fog in
Fog.
her book.
Yeah. Bookmark exchanged. 12:23. Still overcast. Foggy.
V and Ked see that actually this isn't one unit of fog. This is things that are moving together and amongst each other, creating a form of fog. What Bloom notices is initially faces and then shapes, and then realizing that this is a huge number of ghosts that are just weaving their way around this ship and coalescing into what seems like a fog. You're just on the outside of it, so it's that kind of occasionally someone comes near you. Currently, they are paying you no mind.
Have I got 10 minutes to cast a ritual, Chloe?
If you want to take that time, it's totally up to you. You've not been given like a really strict time thing here.
If Bloom turns to the others and they sort of frown a little, I think the fog is less weather and more people who have been lost.
Fog made of people? What?
This is some sort of spectral rather than meteorological, is my thinking.
People
I
who
think
have
so.
been fog godded.
V, I need you to know that I hate you.
I know.
We got it.
You.
Are you sure? 'Cause
No,
Rob-
explain it to me several times.
Robin comes over and sits on your shoulder and just cackles, like, but really forcefully, like a bit too much, like really overselling the reaction to the joke.
That's why I keep him around.
I'm saying the fog is made of ghosts. I'm gonna have to change the log. Okay,
Yeah.
fog, not fog. Okay.
You can all kind of see this now that it's been pointed out to you. You can start picking out the little details.
I think maybe safer than swimming could just be walking. If you all don't mind giving me 10 minutes.
That would be fantastic because I'm wearing some very heavy chainmail and a sword, and I was gonna have to like leave half of it behind or to get over there.
Perfect. If
You got 10 minutes there?
well, do I have 10 minutes? None of you mind?
I'm not busy.
V's not
Getting
going
ready to
jump off the
stab
front of the
fog.
ship.
You might go for the back or the side. I haven't decided yet.
Fine.
Very well.
Bloom sits cross-legged on the deck of the ship and pulls out of their like little pouches out of their apron, which are full of what look like almost iron filings, and they sort of like throw it up into the air, and it almost like magnetically gets pulled down to the deck of the ship in the shape of like sort of runic circles and that sort of thing, and they sort of start slowly moving it into place over the course of this sort of 10 minutes, and right at the end of the 10 minutes it suddenly glows hot that it sort of like burns into the deck of the ship and then vanishes.
Redfern looks relieved because
Oh,
glowing hot into the deck of his ship was a moment of concern for him.
yes, sorry about that. She puts her hand back onto the ship, and sort of a ripple of like metallic sort of flickers over the wood, and the burn is gone, is mended.
Oh, thanks. Oh, that's. To be honest, I don't really understand it, but that was cool.
Oh, we can walk on water now, if you want to give that a go.
Oh hell yeah! Straight in, just jump in.
Can I
just kind of flips back off and stands up. Alright.
I'm sorry, you said flip, right?
But not banging my head. I'm assuming even on a robot there's enough room to kind of. I will roll athletics if you like.
Oh, no, I think this is more an acrobatics type thing, isn't it?
That's better because I'm better at that.
If you say you're going to flip off a boat, I'm happy for you to walk on water, but
Get a 6.
you go to do it, and you do flip, but you just land on your butt.
There is something wrong with what you have cast.
I'd say that looks more like a flop to me than a flip, mate.
Say maybe if you were a bit more cautious or planned it more, it would have gone better.
Has Redfern got any weapons on him? Is
No.
he visibly armed?
No.
He's just going to get up and walk around to where Redfern is, and all he has is like on one of his kind of belts. He's got three daggers. He doesn't have armor. He's got no other weapons. He's got these 3 daggers, and he's just going to take one dagger out and then just plonk it on the thing in front of Redfern, point to the light, and says, "I hope that doesn't attract anything."
What's he going to do?
So mean.
Stab the ghost?
Do not terrify our mains
I'm
in the
not sure he's
street.
going to be a ghost. If something comes out, he's got something to defend himself now with. This has been inadvertently made a lighthouse.
I don't know about you all, but I want to go and find a ring, so...
Right, look, before we go, let's us all just take a moment, as we are once again on the eve of battle, for what could be the last time, if we make enough money, which I'm hoping we will. Let us all appreciate this and give a rousing cheer to victory!
Victory.
Come on in, the water's firm.
Everyone
Yeah, you are just...
for victory.
You just stand on top of the water.
Ked is going to fly up and just survey whilst like how high the fog goes, and whilst they are walking towards it.
Sure. Meanwhile, is everyone else starting to walk
Clamping
into
down.
the fog.
Ugh, somehow.
Cool.
Yes.
So in like an incredibly cool image, like 3 of you, with also Robin still on V's shoulder, just walk on the top of the water into this fog, and you start to be surrounded by ghosts who again are paying you no mind, but we will come to kind of your time inside there in a second, because Ked heads up. You have to go at least kind of like 60, 90 feet up before things start to thin enough for you to get a decent view of this ship. Roll me perception.
Ooh.
Are you kind of trying to see more about the nature of the fog or the ship, or
Trying to see more of the ship.
Sure.
And that is not so good. That is 14.
14. What you see is a ship that is somewhat battered and broken. It's not kind of like tattered sails, battered and broken, but you can see some holes in the deck. You can see damage to the figurehead at the front of the ship. You can see kind of cracks in the mast. With a 14, that's largely what you get. There's also various bits and pieces on there. And let me just see. No, there's nothing else you see. You just kind of see like ropes and crates, barrels, etc. The standard accoutrement there, but it's kind of just a lightly damaged ship. Quite a large, sizable kind of merchant style ship.
Okay, cool. I'll fly back and join the rest.
Cool. Meanwhile, inside this area, there are some ghosts who seem to have been taking more of an interest in you, and indeed some of them actually just come and stand in front of you and don't like kind of push against you or slam against you, but aren't moving. And there's just these 3. There's a human, a dwarf, and a gnome.
Greetings, friends. May we pass?
What do you want with the ship? Says the human.
We're all looking for things. Everyone's lost something.
And what are you going to do when you get things back?
Go home.
Get paid, hopefully.
Most who come...
The rest of you.
No one's left this ship since it crashed. Seems to just be the human kind of speaking, and the gnome and the dwarf kind of...
Is this one of those none who enter ever return dilly dallies? Because we've done those before. They're quite good fun, really.
You're oddly determined.
Some of us are just determinedly odd.
What was that, V?
Liam's already said it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yes. They make jokes. I stab things with swords. They make jokes. It's a well-oiled machine.
Would Ked have...
Ked kind of comes in at this point.
We having some sort of trouble? Because we were invited, if this helps.
Invited?
Oh, all them bottles, washing shorts, saying, come along, have some water breathing.
Said adventurers welcome. I thought that was particularly well phrased.
I think
Unusual,
welcome.
But welcome.
They definitely wanted something to do with adventurers. I don't know.
I think there was some sort of appeal to adventurers.
Your best chance of leaving is if you never meet Eva on that boat. We won't stop you. But there's your advice.
Avoid Eva. Right.
How will we avoid Eva?
I don't know. We don't know anyone who has.
I'm sorry, friends. What are your names? I feel strange not being introduced and all.
My name's Derica, says the human. My name's Vonir, says the halfling. Valdry, sorry, says the gnome. Valdry, says the dwarf.
Well, it is a pleasure and a delight. Is there anything else you could warn us about or just tell us in general? I mean, we are open to suggestion at this point.
We don't know much more. We haven't figured anything out. It's hard to find more information in this state. We just can't leave.
Oh, I say, you didn't come here seeking adventure and then find yourself in a bit of a pickle, did you?
Not us, no.
Oh.
We were crew.
What could we do that'd help you?
And they just step aside and create a gap in the fog for you to walk through. Be careful.
This is a nice change. Water dungeon, very welcoming. I'm writing that down.
Out of curiosity, can any of you touch corporeal things?
We can all touch corporeal things, my friend.
No, I know. I know.
I could give it a try.
I'm sorry, Derica, is it?
Yes.
I mean, I
Makes more sense.
should have made it much clearer. My eye contact is very hard because I have one eye on this side and one eye on this side, and it is hard to make direct eye contact.
Yes.
So,
Classic
Derica,
Aarakocra issue.
Derica, sorry, can you touch corporeal things?
Give me a high five.
Only
Don't feel like
if...
you have to.
And Derica says this as she puts her hand up near to Pegsy's. Only if we possess them.
Okay.
Okay. Well, tell you what. I will give you something you can possess. And I will reach and grab another bookmark with the initials on as kind of a card and make and cast a light on that bookmark as well.
We can only hold things if we possess corporeal beings.
Oh, that would make much more sense. Yeah. No, I say it. I say what I did there. Yeah. No.
This is awkward now.
Yeah. This has become something of an awkward situation.
I was a bit worried that your bookmarks would turn out to be people, and that's why I'm giving it to them. I was a little alarmed there.
I am. That is upsetting to a terrifying degree.
I mean, we've known each other a long time. I think I would have noticed, but
I think I would have known.
What are all of your passive perceptions?
Pretty solid.
13.
Fucking solid.
What was that, Steve?
13.
11.
18.
15.
Cool. Bloom and Ked notice some movement on the deck of the ship, which is probably about 90 feet away from where you currently are. But you don't get a good enough... You can see that there's movement, but then it disappears.
Perhaps extinguish that flashlight, wouldn't you care?
That is a very wise idea, my friend. And removes light and puts the bookmark away.
Thank you for your
Going down.
If you've left your rope at home so you can bring more bookmarks, I'm gonna have to have words with you again.
I feel that knowledge is a wonderful thing, and if they can keep track of where they have left their knowledge, then they will not be so lost.
Friends, as you call yourselves, you won't find more answers standing here.
Right, yeah, sorry, yeah. Onwards!
That's a very fair point. Sorry, I get distracted very easily.
Onwards and shipwards, folks.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to think more before I go anywhere. They just walk straight off.
Robin is kind of on your shoulder being like, I know we sometimes do a good cop and bad cop, but I'm so confused now because V's basically doing it with himself of so many different things.
Whenever you want to join in, you just join in. We'll figure out roles as we go along.
Right, okay. Right. I have no idea what Robin's voice is now, by the way. That's pretty obvious. So as you head off, ghosts part in front of you to give you kind of a direct passage to the ship, and Derica, Vonir and Valdry are essentially just watching you approach. As you approach the ship, it is pitched on quite a severe angle, If you were to kind of walk around, you could find different areas where you could climb in. You could climb various ladders up to the deck, or you could climb in through windows into the lower decks of the ship. How would you like to approach it?
Start at the top and go down.
Right, why don't we just check the top out first? Who wants to hold my hand?
Well,
Robin swoops in.
You know where you're going, though, don't you? We've talked about this. You can't hold my hand if you're flying up there now, can you?
Fine.
Start climbing a
You
ladder.
can hold my hand later.
Okay, and then just heads up. Could you please all make me athletics checks? There's basically kind of wooden ladders that are just little struts and planks on the edge of the ship that you can climb up.
Sorry, what I was trying to do was get Robin to fly up so I can look through Robin's eyes at where we're going up, just to scout out briefly.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I needed someone to hold my hand while I
Did not get that.
Oh, I see. Sorry, yeah, me neither.
I thought I would try and do it in a characterful way, and it's not quite.
I thought you were going to like Misty Step with someone or something. I was trying to work it out. It was good.
Can you roll perception? I mean, you're using your familiar's senses, so I assume it's a perception check with your familiar's stats.
Mm-hmm. But that's fine, because I'm sure I also have been prepared enough to have my familiar stats here.
Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, the rest of you...
I'm not just playing someone who's like me.
Could everyone will still make those rolls anyway for athletics to see how you do it getting up the side of the ship to the top deck?
That's a 12 for Bloom.
Okay.
9. How did I get a 9?
No.
I'm upset.
No.
That's a 16 for Ked, and about halfway through climbing up, Ked stops and just shakes his head and leans back and just flies up.
Yeah.
And just sighs a little bit.
Steve, what's perception?
I was running athletics as well, just to keep it safe. Well, I've only got 1d20 out. I rolled 2 19s anyway, so that's...
Okay, and can you please roll me athletics with disadvantage? You are holding someone's hand, but you're still... That means you're then having to...
I was assuming we wouldn't be climbing on until
Yes.
afterwards, but if people
Yes.
have started
No,
climbing
that
without
would-
me,
oh,
then
no.
I guess
Oh, sorry, that's-
I would just...
That might also be like me.
5.
Oh, no, don't.
That's all right. Basically, if you're incredibly low on the rolls, you're just going incredibly slowly. I'm going to say that Pegsy is probably the person holding V's hand. That seems to make a lot of sense.
One time I try and think ahead and plan, and this is what you do. Okay,
dragging
well, I
along,
guess I'm
like,
doing this now. I'm just complaining the whole way up. I mean, this would sure be more fun if I could actually see. I can see the top of it, but I can see where I'm going. I can't see where I'm putting my hand.
Robin hisses back.
What you see during this is you see the top deck of the ship. You see all the kind of details that Ked got earlier. You can also see where there is 2 staircases that go down to further levels. But with the 19...
It's 22 with the...
22 with the modifier.
I rolled 19 on the dice.
You hear some odd noises. You hear a huge amount of what sounds like paper rustling in the wind, but not like a piece of paper, like books and sheets, and a lot of that noise that Robin at times kind of catches and follows. And additionally, at one point, through like a kind of jagged hole in the deck of the ship that goes down to something else, Robin just kind of peers over and sees barrels and crates of fruit, but it is entirely fresh. It's not rotted, it's not aged. Everything looks fresh. And those are the kind of details as Robin then comes back to hop onto your shoulder, and your vision kind of lines up with what it should be.
Probably like, well, only a couple of meters up. Right. We increase speed.
You're right.
Kind of.
You all eventually get up. I mean, Ked easily just onto the deck. Because of how pitched it is, you can easily move at half speed, but it technically is difficult terrain. If anyone wants to start moving faster, then that's going to be very difficult. And you just have to kind of try and maintain balance. But that's the information you have as you all kind of get up to the top.
I'll relay the information about the fruits and kind of, there is something seriously wrong here, and I'm going to cast I think it's shadow armor, which is essentially mage armor with flavor.
You had to just sorry, Karen.
It's the shadows just kind of coalesce around him, and it's not like deep black shadows, it's kind of almost like brown grey shadows, like the shadows in deep forest, and where stuff glints off it, it's like moonlight gleaming through kind of stark bare branches, kind of leafless branches.
That's really cool.
V, if you had to describe the atmosphere around here, so it's something slightly more poetic than seriously wrong.
Foggy, really foggy.
Like something poetic, like it was a cold night and it's mid-afternoon, but bloom, something. How do you feel? Status report. Come on.
I think rather than maybe seriously, maybe citrusly, because of,
This is a serious record of what's going on. This isn't the place.
This is no time
Silly
for
jokes.
fruity language.
Give up with you people.
You're also aware.
See, try and live with a little bit of zest, honestly.
You are also
That
aware.
sounds much more appealing.
On the deck of this ship, you cannot see the land. You can see a very faint blimp of light, which is presumably red fern in the boat, but the fog of ghosts surrounding this ship is incredibly thick and actually makes it very difficult to see beyond the bounds of this ship.
Visibility low.
Chloe,
Yes, Grace.
if one was hypothetically a cleric
Okay.
and hypothetically had the ability to turn the undead,
Yes.
but didn't want to kill a lot of perfectly nice ghosts,
Mm-hmm.
even if it was by level 5, which we are, destroy undead, because I'm assuming these are not particularly dangerous ghosts.
None of them seem to have posed a danger to you. They're either disinterested or kind of they've spoken to you a little bit like Derica.
Yeah. I suppose it would be just very rude for me to forcibly clear these ghosts away.
Could ask them nicely, maybe.
Oh.
Hey,
Oh,
hey,
There we are.
everyone around? Like, we're finding it quite difficult to see. Do you mind? I mean, there seems to be a lot of you, but also you don't have physical bodies, so I'm sure you could all just squidge.
roll me persuasion. And yes, Grace, there's you're welcome to try kind of alternative methods before turning to turn undead. But if you do use turn undead, it will work mechanically as written, therefore creating the frightened effect.
Destroy them. Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yes, because you're at level 5 now. Steve.
19.
So, with that roll, you do see things start to thin. It's almost like the ghosts can't entirely move out of the space that they're in, but you see an attempt to thin out, and you can now see kind of the very like faint loose shape of a small sail ship and like a fuzz of red, which is kind of presumably Redfern's hair. But it's not kind of an immediate split, but you can tell that there is a gesture there from the ghosts.
Thank you kindly, that is much appreciated. And then turn to Robin. Right, which direction? Paper, rock, scissors.
Is it 1, 2, 3? How are we doing this?
You always do this.
2, 3.
You always. I've gone paper.
Well, then I'll go rock then.
Oh, right. Which way are we going then, Robin?
No, you won. V.
You won them.
You won, V. You've got the rules wrong again.
We play it differently where I'm from.
No, you can't just change the rules. That's not how.
If
The
you
first thing
win,
we need
you
to
don't
do-
have to make the decision. That's the whole point.
My friends, the first thing we need to do is we need to find our way around this boat. We need to find a map or some sort of...
Robin flies off and goes down a stairwell.
Right, follow Robin.
We follow.
Or we could stumble about blindly. Both equally acceptable.
I think you'll find we can see a little better now. We're stumbling about a bit better. Come on.
It is a tiny bit lighter. So are you all following down the stairs?
I think we should be proceeding with caution.
I've got my sword.
I don't know what we're going to find. The ghosts mentioned that if we met Ava, we perhaps wouldn't be able to leave. So if we try and not be spotted by Ava...
I think if we proceed quietly, cautiously, that
The old
is the best
sneaky
way.
sneak. Right, yes. 1300 hours, sneaky sneak proceeding.
Can you all please just make me a dex check just for getting down the stairs, because the number of angles that this ship is on with the staircase, it's additionally tricky. It's not a save because you're not automatically like falling or anything, but just a check to see how well you do.
Could I naturally just reach out and kind of help Pegsy down? Like, as I figure we've probably ventured enough that I would know that Pegsy's usually wearing all the equipment, so I'll just kind of steady her.
Yeah, fine.
Shamini, roll with advantage. Reese, how'd you do? How did Ked do?
Ked got 14.
14. Steve?
11.
11. Shamini?
15.
Grace?
8 for Bloom.
You all managed to do it. Bloom is quite noisy. Of just kind of this, like one of the steps almost gives way underneath you, and you start to realise just how fragile this ship actually is. And there's this kind of crack. It's a very short, sharp noise, but there is that sound that rings through a little bit as you come down. And probably when you get through to the lower staircase, the reason why your roll is so low is that you start to see pieces of paper just littered about the place. And you're actually in kind of a larger area that seems to have various hammocks slung up in it, like it was the general area where most crew members would actually sleep. But actually inside the hammocks are books, and there's a huge amount of paper, and some of the books are also kind of opened and over the hammocks as though they're on like the equivalent of a washing line for books. That's what you see in this particular area. That's what you get without kind of rolling or investigating. What would you like to do?
Turn to Ked and say, would you like me to slap you so you know you haven't died and gone to hell?
This is I will this is fine. This is just fine.
Can you roll me performance or deception on
That's
this
deception.
being just fine?
That is deception.
Lexi is writing down, Ked is fine. Thanks for the update, Ked.
And that is a 5 on deception.
You all know that this is so much for Ked. Ked is overwhelmed.
Ked may not be fine.
This is fine. I will and Ked reaches to pick some of the pages up from the floor.
Okay. The pages that you pick up, what you see... Roll me a d6, because there is a huge amount of paper just strewn around here and stacked up, and books and notebooks and printed books.
That's a 4.
That's 4. It's a list. And it's a list of so many different items. It's talking about jewelry. It's talking about the time someone got lost in a forest. Dash, does that count? There are presents, books, including things like that. There's a couple of names on there as well. But it's it almost looks like free association. Feel free to roll insight.
Yeah, I will roll insight on that.
If I'm sort of looking over his shoulder, and it's like, is there some sort of record keeping?
Well, it looks like there's definitely some sort of list making around here, and that is a natural 20 on the insight.
I don't know exactly how you managed to intuit this. Obviously, you've spent a lot of time reading and studying and such like, and maybe there's just kind of a couple of things where it also mentions locations, like a purse of gold in a tavern, and you realize this is a list of things that someone has lost. But this is one page out of each page that you've picked up is also part of this list, and you can see other pages. Not all of the pages that are around, but this seems to be a very long list of things someone's lost.
Are all the pages in the same handwriting?
They seem to be.
Okay. Well, what we got here is we have got the compilation of what seems to be everybody's lost things. We've got each page seems to be either a person or one individual.
Yes, but it's not a ring, is it? Right, start looking for small jewellery boxes, treasure chests, that sort of thing. Watch out for mimics, as usual.
Investigation, please.
Ed, do you think it's one person keeping a record of everything that's been lost? Or do you think it could be all the things that one person has lost?
I think this is one person keeping track of everything at the moment, but I mean, I could be wrong. But it seems to be just keeping track of all the lost things. Maybe some sort of manifest or cargo hold. This is deeply unpleasant. I am not keen on this. And Ked is starting to try and organise and pile these in.
Oh gosh!
As much of a semblance of organisation as possible.
You can
organising. Pegsy is on the other side, like swishing and flinging and like looking for things. I rolled a 4, so she doesn't find anything. But
so, Pegsy, we'll come to kind of what you get with that 4 in a second. Ked, in organising the papers, starts to put them. You will notice that some of them are not lists. And additionally, the first time that Ked goes to try and pick up one of the books that is slung over the hammocks, it is sopping wet. And you realise that all of the books on the hammocks that are opened and over them are dripping. Pegsy, you kind of in this flurry of movement, of action, of let's get things done here, you don't find anything like that. All you find are kind of more bits of paper and such, like maybe you find some paper that has a list on that says treasure chest, jewellery, ring, etc. But that is the closest. That is the closest that you come to finding anything like that.
These books are very wet. I'm putting this out there. They're very wet books.
The entire room smells of salt water.
It feels as though they might have been dragged here or something. They were in the water and now they're not in the water. I'm glad they're not in the water, but still.
Doesn't seem to be any rings or anything like that in here. Should we try the next room, next place?
Do you think it's worth me trying to see if I can get a sense of where it might be?
Yes, that is exactly what we want to do.
I think that's
the
good
whole point of us being here, really. Try to do that.
Shall I?
I think you should.
Right. Okay. Well.
If you're gonna do the burning iron filing things, can I just suggest we move a lot of this paper out of the way first?
I mean, it's not gonna catch unless I want it to catch.
Well, I mean, what do you want at the moment? I don't know how fickle you're feeling today.
I guess you'll find out. And
don't worry, Ked. The papers will be fine. Right.
They're going to throw a handful of iron filings into the air again, and they sort of melt into like a sort of a quicksilvery globule in the air that sort of like starts off very, very hot, bright orange, and then sort of slowly dulls to a silver. And I imagine almost like compass light, it like ticks around, sort of like it's seeking like a magnetic point. And I cast locate object, looking for
this
silver ring,
kind of almost compass clock like. Indeed, it feels like a compass's point in the way that, there's sometimes a tension with a compass point where it doesn't rest, and it's pointing directly down.
Well, gotta keep going down, I suppose.
Right, Lewis, great. Next level down. Find another. Go look for another set of stairs.
I'll.
Kate, come on. Let's get right. Put an arm through.
Oh, okay.
Come on, old chap.
I'll come with you.
V?
I'm assuming because obviously this boat is on a list, so I'm assuming some of it is going to be more underwater than it should have been. I want to see if I can figure out if some of the books are wet, if everything is wet, if it's all the same age, if some of it looks like it was basically been on the boat and brought up, or brought up from a wet bit, or if it's all been from around the same time. Is some of it in the boat? Has it always all been on the boat?
Roll me investigation.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm really good at this. 13.
With a 13, you start looking at the books. There is no consistency in time. These books are from many different, probably you'd say from the appearance of them, some of them are very new, some of them are about 20 years old. They are also indeed in different languages. Most of them, the only commonality you can find amongst them is that they are all to do with magic of some sort, but though some of them are incredibly simple initial kind of magic books, and some of them are much more in-depth books about high-level magic and the different natures of magic. And in terms of trying to figure out where they're from, they are soaked in salt water, and it's very hard to tell whether they've been brought on by they were on board the ship, or whether they've kind of been dragged on from somewhere. But what you can tell is it doesn't look like a coherent collection, or additionally, why would someone have this specific set of books on this ship? Is what you get with that.
Right. Even the old ones haven't got, they're water damaged, but not like mouldy with being constantly in water.
No. Kind of slightly strangely or unusually, perhaps. Are you heading? Were you all heading down, following that kind of direction that was given?
Yeah.
Cool. Can I have another dex check for going downstairs? Because you're going to kind of come back to where the stairs are, and then straight down to.
Does anyone need assistance?
Robin holds your hand. Robin holds V's hand.
Well, that's me. He's helped. I know. I'm just gonna go. If no one's saying anything quicker than that, I'm not helping.
Chloe, is this a check that I can? Is this technically an ability check that I can add guidance to? If it's just a straight check.
Yes, it's not a save. It's a check,
Skill
and guidance is just checks, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know whether it has to specifically be a skill check, because this is just a straight.
Yeah, it's not kind of anything.
Oh, it's just ability check. So I guess
I'm gonna
I'll leave that up to you.
for me for this. I'm going to say that's fine. Basically differentiating that from like attacks or saving throws.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Imagine if I also had resistance. Sorry, what?
What did everyone get?
17.
Nice.
19.
And Grace.
Also 17.
Cool. Much more skilled at doing this now. There's not quite as much paper and bits and pieces of detritus laid around here, so you manage to go down. When you get to the bottom, your feet. It's only like an inch or so of water right now. But the actual area that you're in, you can start to see, and indeed the kind of cargo hold that you've gone down to is listing so that the further you go into it, the further up the water will come around you. Are you trying to be stealthy in exploring just because you will be moving through water and automatically making noise?
Splush.
Well, also, Chloe, we can also just walk on top of the water.
Of course, because you still have water walk active.
Sweet.
That just continues for now.
Yeah.
If you want to walk on top of the water, you can.
Are there any good...
Gonna get stuck at some point where it like
run out of space.
Right at the far end of the cargo hold, it is going to get a bit uncomfortable, but you can kind of look around and explore before then. Feel free to roll investigation or perception for anyone who wants to see what's in here.
I'm looking for some good boxes, good cargo.
Yeah, I'm just going to see.
I'd like to take a coin out of my pocket, pass it to Ked, and say, fancy lighting the place up further down?
Well, I think that might be an idea. Cast light on the coin.
Yeah, it's comparatively dark and shaded in this area, and you manage to...
And flip it towards the end of the cargo hold,
Yeah.
so it goes through the water as well.
See, that's pretty. I'm going to write down that it's pretty.
You ripple it through.
Ain't supposed to be pretty, it's supposed to be functional.
It's important to have these details.
Things can be both.
Utilitarianism and aestheticism can, of course, play a part in both. This is not important right now. This is not a decision. There's a lot of wet books up there.
I've written and useful. Pretty and useful, don't worry. It's all recorded.
What is everyone's rolls on investigating this space?
10.
10.
Can I give someone who's a little bit more useful than I am a hand? Other than is it
Me.
Ed, maybe?
Yeah, that would be useful if that's
I give
okay.
you advantage, and also tap you on the shoulder, and you sort of there's like this bloom, as it were, of like almost like a heated handprint, but you don't feel any pain.
Thank you. Thank you kindly. Glad I got the advantage there. That is natural 20.
Hey!
Wow, okay. Did anyone get higher than a 20? No, just check it. Okay, so Ked, after he just kind of flips the coin and it into the far end, it's probably because of where you flip the coin. Near this end, where the water hasn't kind of overwhelmed this part of the cargo deck, there's crates and such like, but there's not much that you could see that would be different. Where you've dropped that coin, you can see that this part of the hull is broken, that this is where some of the water has entered in through, though it's not been so broken that it's actually reached, because you're a bit below the water level outside, but it has been able to start seeping through. However, it's because it was broken, but then it seems to have been blocked up because there is a pile of pieces of furniture, items of clothing, pieces of jewelry, knickknacks, books, like the most unusual. It looks like someone's tipped out an antique shop into the corner of this space, and it's just piled up, just peeking through the top of the water, but then through, and it seems almost, especially with a natural 20, it looks like it goes out of that hole. And
I will relay this to those present.
Any rings? Any rings? See any rings?
There's some jewelry down there. I couldn't.
Right. Let's
Bloom.
get our hands dirty.
Your passive perception is something like...
It's 15.
It's quite high. What's yours, Bloom?
18.
Bloom, you hear footsteps. Quite quick footsteps. Probably from like a level just above that seem to be coming towards where you are.
Someone is walking on the deck above us. Perhaps
Ambush
we
them.
should... What?
Dive.
No.
We should dive.
No.
Sounds like they might be
solid.
Sounds like they're at the top of the staircase, and you can now all hear this person approaching. They're kind of at the top, and it'll take them 6 seconds to get down to where you are and see you inside this space.
Are we okay? We're too far away to like hide behind the stairs and like get them.
If you hid
Because
behind the stairs, you would be like underneath where they are coming down, and it's slatted stairs. So
Can I do that?
if you want to try and make me a stealth roll.
I'm so stealthy. I'm wearing chainmail. Does that mean they have disadvantage?
Yeah, I believe so. It should have like a little D for disadvantage.
Oh, it does. It does. D&D Beyond is so clever. I mean, the first roll was a natural 3. It could get worse, I guess.
Steve, it looks like you want to do something.
Yeah, I would like to cast Disguise Self on myself, which is one of my Eldritch invocations I can do at will. And I would like to disguise myself as Derricka.
Oh, God. Oh, okay. Interesting move. We'll get to that. Nice one. What was Pegsy's roll?
6.
I think you're still you're splishing and splashing as you go underneath these stairs. I'm just going to check in with in terms of what Bloom and Ked are going to do.
Yeah. Do you have increase?
Ked's going to dive. Ked's going to dive under.
I'm going to pull out my potion of water breathing and sort of like pull out the cork between my like long tusk-like teeth, neck it and drop like a stone through the water.
Can I just check? Is Bloom dropping concentration? Is Bloom dispelling?
Now, the phrasing of Water Walk is that the spell grants the ability to move across any liquid surface. It doesn't say you have to.
No, that's fair. I'll allow that.
However you want to interpret that.
No, that's cool. I'll leave it so that you've got the ability, and if you're submerged, you can choose to then rise at that rate. You can breathe underwater. Ked, you didn't say you took your potion.
I did not.
Nope.
I did not.
You can't breathe underwater.
I will also let light drop.
Light drops. You are Terrica, and Pegsy is underneath.
Splash clang, splash clang.
That is pretty much what happens. And Pegsy, the first thing Pegsy hears is, "Wait, who? I don't know. I must know. Come out. Come out. I can already see yous."
Come out.
This individual with very tightly tied back blonde hair, relatively femme but quite muscular, and wearing what you'd kind of expect of a very standard sailor style, maybe slightly more piratey, quite a lot of jewellery and items on her. And she's coming down the stairs at the same time that you are coming out.
Right, hello there. Yeah, sorry about that. Name's Pegsy. Lovely to meet you. Hello.
How do I know you?
I don't think you do know me. Do you know me? Do I know you? I'm not good with faces.
If I don't know, how are you here? And just looks defensive as though she might cast something, but hasn't yet.
Okay. Right. Well, look. No need to be alarmed.
No, lots of need. Plenty of need to be alarmed.
Is there? Oh, right. Well, look, I'm very strong. If you're scared of anything, I could probably kill it for you. Unless it's a ghost. The sword doesn't work on ghosts.
Right, why are you here?
I, myself, alone here, am just coming to do a job paid for with coin.
Roll
then
deception.
I'm planning to retire to a lovely house in the country.
Roll deception on being alone.
Got the plans.
And also, like, everything else you said.
Some of that was true.
Some of it.
I think from where like Bloom is below the water, there is the sense that like when he sees this person like looking as if they're gonna cast, there's just that like sort of tension through his shoulders, and there is the sense that like like his hands start to heat and the water just starts to there's like slight bubbles rising from the water just in a like I am ready to go if need be.
So cool.
Okay,
I rolled a 9 on my very good deception.
Just roll.
It's at this point Ked just will splutter out.
Yeah, and it swivels, sees an Aarakocra head just kind of at the water level, and also sees. Now, have you turned yourself into? Has V turned themselves into like the ghost image of Derrika, or what V thinks Derrika is as a person?
Yes, so kind of just filling in all the grey with probably still with quite V-like colours, so like lots of that kind of.
You've tried to recolorize Derrika.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what I'm getting. Okay, swings round, and yeah, she is very much freaked out. Swings around, sees Ked. I don't know. How on earth what is happening? And just, and a wall of force appears around her, and just suddenly you won't be able to, like, it hasn't hit anyone, it hasn't pushed anyone back, but now has this wall of force around her. How are you alive? What are you doing here? What's going on?
You all right there, Ked?
I just kind of like.
You're very damp. Would you like? I go and help Ked out of the. Oh dear.
We have been invited here by several bottles that were thrown ashore to nearby Neverwinter, and we have been hired to prove the veracity of this particular claim that this is a place where lost things go and appear again.
Right. And pointing at what appears to be Derrika. Is there any kind of typical check, or?
I'm almost certain there must be.
Because I mean, she's definitely suspicious of what on earth is happening here. It's just disguise self.
Illusion is usually investigation versus your spell save DC, right?
Yeah, it's investigation. Okay, she is going to roll investigation. Mm-hmm. Oop. She needs more space on her table. That is on investigation. That's a 17.
Yeah.
What? Wait, why are you Why are you pretending to be Derrika? I don't understand any of this.
Ked goes up
drop
and
the disguise then.
slaps V on the shoulder again. So, why are guests?
Just playing around. Don't worry about it.
I was just trying to decide how important it was that no one returned.
Right.
I mean, you seemed very surprised that I turned up as this person.
She's dead.
Well, yes, we know that. Which means that you also knew that she was dead, which means that either you saw her as a ghost or possibly involved in the past.
We are a group of adventurers, and we have been hired to investigate this particular boat on which we currently find ourselves. And
Right.
may I ask, my name is Kedvis, or Ked, I mean, if we're less formally acquainted. What would your name be?
My name's Ava. And also at this point, I'm just gonna roll for them. Oh, that was a 3. I'm coming! And there's just this huge clattering, kind of like the sound where someone hits several stairs at once, just like kind of sliding down on them on their thigh. I'm coming!
EastEnders is ending.
Yeah, basically that happens like just above all of you. As this individual who they're wearing quite similar things to Ava, but whereas Ava seems to be human, they seem to be a half-elf, and they have like a completely shorn, shaven head and look relatively femme. but for the benefit of referral, use they them pronouns.
Eggsy is going to just very slowly write round Ava.
Right, people! Was this the bottles? Did the bottles work?
Oh, you are the one responsible for them bottles coming ashore. Yeah, we are in response to those bottles.
Wait, okay, if I take this down, you're not going to do anything, are you?
I personally will recommend, and I will guarantee your safety. I will currently guarantee your safety.
I'm assuming as Chloe that's truthful?
Yeah.
Okay. Drops the wall of force.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. It worked. Can't believe it. Sorry, Ava. I couldn't tell you because it probably wouldn't. I didn't think it would work if I. Hi, I'm V-Day.
V-Day, awfully nice to meet you. Hello.
Hi.
Easy. High five? Want to do a high five?
Sure.
High five? Yes.
High fives and kind of struggles down the final few steps to where you all are. I just want to check. Bloom can't fully hear all of this. Basically can hear that there's talking and probably can recognise that there's two new voices and new sounds. Mm-hmm. Grace, do you want Bloom to do anything or just kind of stay hidden?
Currently, I'm trying to decide. It's less appealing if I can't hear. Can I definitely not hear even with my very, very excellent perception?
Roll me perception.
Like, do I want to be in the scene or do I want tactical advantage? Tough choices.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's a 16. I rolled a 5.
Okay.
It's a 16.
Every so often you're going to lose like a word, but what you definitely get across is like who's speaking, tone, etc., and little details.
Fine. Well, I'll with the sort of like a like when the bubbles of boiling water like plunge up to the surface when you're doing pasta. Bloom erupts out of the water in a very non-alarming way. Non-alarming.
Wow.
Super.
This is another one of our associates. Full disclosure, this is all of us.
There's also Robin.
The sprite.
Robin.
There's a sprite. Okay. This is all of us. All of us here assembled. We mean no harm, and we are doing our best to try and keep things calm right now.
Can I possibly get? Oh, sorry, carry on.
I was worried that you meant me or my traveling companions harm. I have seen that you haven't, so here I am.
We are. We mean no harm. Nor do we mean to remove any of your particular limbs and whatnot. We are.
Well, I wasn't worried about that until you started talking about removing limbs.
I'm sorry. It's just what came to mind. You know, we are on a spooky ghost ship. What else are we going to be thinking of? I mean, it's that or haunted books, and I am.
What?
We will have words about your bookkeeping.
It's okay.
Another time, but I will say this now: you should learn some sort of organizational system. Even alphabetical would be fine. I do not mind. I don't mind which alphabet you use. Just use an alphabet and then stick to it. I'm sorry.
Okay, we'll save the books, Ked. Don't worry.
What if? Wait a minute. You've been and she dashes up the stairs. You've been messing with. You've been touching all the lists and just goes up and V-Day. Don't. Seriously.
Sorry.
No. That's It's okay. We should probably find somewhere we can sit. Like there's stuff to explain to you. I mean, Ava's better at some of this than me because she knows magic better. But
He has just been reclining, full stretched out, like laid down, on the water.
Yeah.
Just full out lying down on the water, just sighing every time Ken says something down.
I mean, if you're comfortable here, I can talk to you here. I'm so glad the bottles worked.
I don't know that we expected to find living people here.
Corporeal. Look how corporeal you are.
Oh.
Well done, you.
Thanks. I guess. Yeah. Corporeal. Well, it's me and Ava and I guess Mongrel's corporeal. So Mongrel's the cat. I don't know if you've met her. I mean, it's us, and then obviously everyone else outside. But right. Can you go underwater, you lot?
If needs be.
I mean, I don't prefer I get it in my ears a little bit.
It's an issue, an ongoing issue.
But I can go underneath it, need be.
Oh, great. Right, and you can hear like the sound of so many pieces of paper just kind of flying everywhere, and books being moved and things being rearranged furiously upstairs.
Maybe we could get a quick situation report before your lovely friend comes back.
Oh, how sorry, what do you want?
All the
what do you want included?
Full detail, everything from the beginning, but slowly because I don't write that fast.
Right. Okay. And kind of tries to like sit on the bottom strut of the staircase and kind of like sees that everyone's comfortable. Well, we were sailing months ago. I mean, it's hard to know kind of how many time's been a bit weird, to be honest. Stuff hasn't really changed much, but so as far as I'm aware, like a few months ago, we were in a storm. It was the worst storm like any of us had seen, and there were the kind of monsters that people tell you about are in the sea, but you don't think are there. And
how would you describe them if you were to want to evoke a certain atmosphere?
Monsters? I'm not poetic.
I've written down monsters. It'll do.
Okay. We were kind of looks up and starts lowering their voice. We were it wasn't going well, and the ship was being kind of like pulled apart. People had gone overboard. We'd lost a lot of people, and well, Ava, you wouldn't be able to tell now, but she's pretty powerful. And she tried doing this thing as like a last ditch attempt, because there was basically me, her, and a handful of other people still on the ship, and it looked like actually no one was going to make it. And then because she wanted to stop it, she there's some spells that are so special you can like kind of almost do anything. You wish for things and they happen.
And Ked kind of bristles slightly at this, because he will have heard of those, I'm sure. May I roll some sort of history or arcana check on that?
Yeah, feel free to. So that was a separate roll for me.
That's a
anyone else can as well.
19.
You've heard of wish spells.
Yeah.
You know that is what VDA is talking about.
Ooh.
And that's a kind of like so
what were the other rolls?
26.
26? Yep. V?
I didn't roll.
Okay.
I can do.
I didn't roll.
That's all right. No, I just wanted to check anyone else as well. Sorry, back to Reese.
So your friend there, Ava, she casted a spell, a pretty powerful spell there.
Yeah. And at this point, because I was kind of rolling for how much of this was going to get overheard, Ava starts walking back down these stairs with things in her hand. Well, if you're going to talk about it, I may as well be part of the conversation, mayn't I?
You need to let these people go. You need to let them go.
It's not my choice that they're here. I've been trying. Let me... See, this is why you don't get other people to... Sorry, Vide, I know you're trying your best and getting people... sits down. Look, I know it was a stupid thing to do, but it looked like no one possibly was going to make it, and I'm the captain of this ship. It's my responsibility. Everyone's under my care. And I'd held on to something just in case I needed the ultimate failsafe. But I mean, I've got theories. What
words did you say?
I said, return to me what's been lost. But I don't think it's just... I've got theories, okay. Obviously you seem to be a someone who's up on all of this stuff, but it's like it's still going. It's like the spell won't stop. And I don't think it's because of my choice of words. I understand, but you try deciding what words to use in the middle of a storm with monsters killing everyone around. I think there's something in competition with it. I know that might not make sense, but I like kind of referring to Vide, who's just like, yeah, I can't get off the ship, and neither can Vide, neither can even bloody Mongrel. But well, Vide, I've swum down. I can't get far because I can't breathe water, so it's just as far as my breath takes me. But pointing over to the pile of objects that like crops into the room at the end of this cargo space, that goes down, and there's this thing, and it's like glowing, and it feels like magic. It feels like, and there's like, it feels like there's a pull, like when you've got metal that sticks together or like pushes against each other. So I think the theory is that there's something in competition, maybe another wish, or maybe something else that's just as powerful, and it means that this won't stop. So we don't leave, because if we left, or if everyone outside there, all the ghosts of the crew left, I would have lost them again. And it's stopping anything being lost now. But if there are people who can go down there, maybe you can figure out what it is. And maybe you can stop it.
Sounds sensible. Do you think all the lost things will disappear if we do that? Because there's chap we know wanted a ring. Didn't really care about the ring, did he? Yeah. Might care about the ring. But we get paid if we don't get the ring. Maybe we'll go off and do that, and you can look for his ring.
No matter what, you need to learn to let people go. I mean,
I wasn't trying to hold...
I know it's hard. I mean, I don't. I wish I did, but I'm just no bird. But I think you gotta learn to let people go.
Good. This person has made a valiant mission to save the crew. Didn't quite work out well, but
I mean, I don't blame you. I think it's a stressful situation that you landed yourself in, but I can't. I mean, you managed to. You used a wish spell, and something else happened as well. Are you that surprised? It didn't turn out the way you expected. I mean, am I imagining things?
I think you're, to be honest,
being a bit harsh.
I think you're a little bit late for pointing out ironic side effects or careful what you fucking wish for.
No,
it's been very much appreciated by me over several months.
Several months.
If I thought that all of my friends were in danger, and I thought that if I prayed that you could be safe, that would happen, I would.
Glad to hear that, Bloom. I should hope so.
You're a quiet one. Looking over at V.
Yeah.
You
Sorry,
got-
was there something else you wanted there? I mean, you tried to save your friends, you didn't save your friends. It might be a way of helping them out. I'm just waiting now. I mean, we're gonna help, right? We're gonna help.
Of course we're going to
Of
help.
course,
Robin wants to
of
help.
course,
Don't
we're
you,
going to
Robin?
help.
Well, there we go. Let's help.
There we go. Robin wants to
Sorry,
help.
this is now just what Robin does.
Of course, we're going to help you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
I mean,
Thank
we're
you.
here to help. I mean, we
Well, we're not. We're here to get a ring. But now we're gonna help once we're here. I like getting distracted. The ring's quite a little boring. It's got his name on.
We're good at fixing things.
we're going to do what we can. We'll do what we can.
Thank you.
Also, besides the point, but she and they know us now. If we tried to leave,
You'd be something I'd lost.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's the,
Oh, that's why I
it's
Yeah.
in our
Can't you
interest.
just give us away?
Act of charity.
I thought.
Oh, then it would be a loss.
doesn't seem to.
A
No,
donation.
it seems like the bottle thing. I did that without even knowing, because if she knew, then
Oh, of course.
it would be something she'd lost.
Right.
Of course. Yes.
Seem to have figured out the
rough.
rough scope of it.
Yes.
But thanks, and now you're here. All you have to do is go down there, looking
Yes.
and gesturing to where there's still kind of ripples in the water, and you can see all these kind of slightly, some of them glittering metallic items that just jutter out of the hull of the ship and go from there down and down and down and down into the depths of the sea. And that is where we are going to take our break. We are going to take a little 5-minute or so break, and then we will come back for the underwater half of the one shot. But go grab drinks, etc., and we will be back super soon. Bye.
See you shortly.
Welcome back from our break. For anyone who's just joining, everyone here is currently on a strange kind of ghostly semi-destroyed shipwreck, and the party have met Ava, the ship's captain, and Vide, one of seemingly the only other member of crew who is there, though the ship is surrounded by the ghosts of the past crew of the ship. And they've discovered that all of this seems to have come about the fact that apparently this is a place where lost things can be found. Ava, Vide, and even the ship's cat are unable to leave, as are the ghosts. This all seems to have come about from Ava casting a wish spell during a storm where the ship was beset by monsters, and it seeming to have not entirely worked, though there is a theory of some weird magical force beneath the ship keeping things in some kind of stasis. And we just left at the point where Vide had kind of gestured to the route further under the sea from the boat. Now, just to check, you've all had water walk cast on you, and Bloom took a potion of water breathing, but just to check that no one else has currently taken that potion.
I've got it in my hand, ready to take.
Cool.
Large and
so
hot.
Vide just kind of turns to you and goes, how do you, I mean, we can probably like move stuff however you want to get down. I'm happy to help.
Well, I think Vij will just kind of raise his, still just lying out on the water, will just kind of get his
we should do a
bottle of
cheers.
water breathing out.
We should do it.
We need weights.
Wait, we should say something, right? Someone should say something. Someone say something, and then we'll do a...
All right, here's to drinking this.
I'm not writing that. I have to write it down.
And then he'll leave it, and as he's drinking it, it's just going to drop the water.
Let's go through that.
So it just slowly sink down, and then the bottle will just float above him.
So
Nice. You're kind of submerged just near where there's like a crack in the hull of the ship.
Yeah.
Ked's gonna pull the cork out with his beak, and do you happen to have a straw?
Sorry, who are you asking?
Oh, I'm sorry. The V-Day.
Afraid not.
Never lost any straws, eh?
That's the last straw.
I'm surprised. Very well. I will.
Do you want me to? I can pour you. Right, just.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay,
it's fine.
right.
It's fine.
I mean, we all know you don't have a sucking reflex, but
I know it's. I mean, I got it. Okay. Could everyone please look away? Just
Okay.
I'm self-conscious.
All right.
About this.
Will do.
You hear a glugging noise.
Yep. And you take the potion.
It's like, and when you see the next time you see Ked, he is like slowly sinking into the water, and just if Aarakocra could blush through the red wattling and black feathers, he'd be blushing. So.
Never fear, Captain. We shall swim down, explore the wreckage, fight off any dangers, find some sort of a giant magic off switch, whatever it is we're looking for, and return victorious.
Thank you. I like your spirit. And so
delicately walk into the water. You know when you're at the beach and you're kind of like,
it might be seaweed. Yeah.
Vide and Ava will kind of walk over to that area, but they will help to just move things out of the way so that there's kind of a hole that you can move through. I assume is V going first, having kind of already like.
I think it would actually have to come back up and check on Robin. Like,
yeah.
Are you able to come? Are you like? Do you want to come? You want to stay here? What do you want to do? You want to? I mean, if you just want to go up on deck and catch some fog, then that's fine by me. But
Robin
I'm waiting.
flies up, goes over to the pile of things that is just like various odds and sods, gets a cup,
Scuba gear.
and turns it into a diving bell so that he can trap some air in it. And it's actually a glass. It's a very ornate glass, so you can still see him. And if you like hold the stem of the glass upside down, then there's air trapped in there, and Robin can come with you
Brilliant.
and still breathe. Okay,
Perfect.
cool.
Beautiful.
Robin's just like, yeah, figured it out. Science. So you could, like, V can head through?
Yeah, if other people are still moving things out of the way, just right.
Yeah.
Thanks all. Straight through them.
And everyone else follows on.
Would Ked be able to like tie a rope or something just to something sturdy?
There are struts in the room. There are kind of wooden struts from floor to ceiling.
Yeah, just, I mean, does it just kind of tie a quick rope onto one of those?
Roll sleight of hand for me.
That is a 19 on the die. I like this die.
Like, incredibly skilled, very finessed.
That is 21.
Yeah. There's like a slight look from Ava and Vide, because it's almost like a sailor quality knot, and it's a little bit unexpected from you.
I studied.
And they're just...
If everyone has sort of ducked under the water, Bloom sort of hesitates for a moment, and he turns to Ava and just asks, "What did it? How have you kept? How do you keep belief in your abilities when you put so much power into the wish and it's gone like this?"
I guess I've never thought of it like, I didn't think of it. I didn't doubt my abilities, I doubted the balance.
The balance of what?
Of the energies that I command, the energies in the rest of the world, the way I try to exert force over things and the ways others do. I think that's what's been the problem. If there wasn't something pulling against this, then it wouldn't be an issue, but the balance is wrong.
Right. Well, I'm sure we'll see you soon.
Yep. And just like kind of says very like quickly to get your attention before you go into, a captain isn't a captain in isolation. I don't know what it is you do, but I doubt whatever you do is in isolation either. It's all about how it relates.
No, in more sense than one. I'll see you soon. And just drops into the water.
When you all drop into the water, obviously there's the immediate kind of shift, feeling the water pressure up against your skin, feeling the shift of light. Like there is a bit of light coming from above where the ocean level is, the top of the ocean is, but it's dissipating and gets darker as you go down. But one of the things that you feel is you can swim if you want to, but there is a weird kind of pull, because as you go outside of the ship, you can see this immense coral-like structure of objects, of things that have presumably at some point been lost, that just pile on top of themselves in this huge mound that goes further and further and further down. And if you wanted to, you could actually just walk on it, because it seems to have its own force and its own draw. So you can either swim down or indeed actually just kind of walk and traverse over this mound. It's up to you how you want to get further down. There's like the faintest glimmer of something, but it's so dark further down that you can't quite identify like the things that Vide described.
Eggsy is clambering heavily in her chainmail.
Nice. Anything that you disturb on the way down just kind of gets disturbed, but then moves back into it.
Did it not? Gosh.
For the benefit of anyone at home, we're saying that like people can kind of roughly understand each other underwater, and additionally we are very much moving into Homebrew County with the spells that are at play and some of the things that you were going to encounter here. So I'm happy for you to kind of have very rough communication with each other underwater.
Homebrew County, population us.
This is weird. Weird. Look, it's cool.
You go to write it down in your...
My book is waterproof. Look.
My ears are
Water. Yes. Yeah.
not good.
Chloe, if I flick the compass point that's sort of still hovering in the water because I'm still concentrating on it, does it point anywhere?
Down.
Just keep down.
Yeah, still further down. And as you progress further down, I'm going to need everyone to make me a charisma saving throw.
Oh dear.
That's probably fine.
Oh dear.
Could
17.
everyone sound off on what they got?
Ked got 17.
He's got 14.
B got 21.
I technically got a 3, but that's because I add 2 to my charisma saving throws.
So it's only Bloom who is affected, but what Bloom feels is calm. If you had any strong emotions, whether they were ones of curiosity or fear or urgency or anything to do with that, they have just subsided and you are feeling incredibly calm and accepting of the situation around you. That's all that's happened. As you go further and further down, does anyone want to make like perception or investigation checks? Because at the moment it's just simply moving a little bit further down this huge pile and kind of walking down it.
I'd like to investigate how everyone else is doing.
Insight onto
Insight.
Yeah, that would be insight.
Insight, that's the word.
You can roll for each person individually. I think that makes
Sure.
the most sense.
Oh god. That is I'll double check. I really hope that's going to be a good one. Yeah, no, it isn't, is it? Cool. So that is an 18 on Pegsy.
Mm-hmm.
A 16 on V. And a 13 on Bloom.
I'm happy for all of you to answer on what Ked gets with those rolls.
Pegsy is very happy about her waterproof notebook and special underwater pen, and she's trying to kind of like look around and like write things down, and she seems pretty confident about the magical stuff because we've dealt with stuff like that before. It'll probably be fine.
I think B is probably on the way down with Robin, like pointing out little bits and then going over and exploring them, plucking them out, and occasionally they'll both point at different things and they do quick rocks, paper, scissors to see which one they go for, and and then watching them kind of suck back in, and just like generally having just like there's so much stuff, like he's that and not one that, and it's just all of this kind of, he's distracted all the time and kind of like able to move on to something different, so he's really enjoying himself.
Bloom, as they walk down this sort of pile of things, you can sort of just see him like kicking at it a little bit, and I imagine they like kick at it and like a piece sort of like disappears off and then it comes back, and you can sort of hear her saying, there's just so much stuff.
Great, isn't it?
There's so many things here, and people they're just gone. People haven't even noticed that they're gone.
People, how would you describe it?
Ked's gonna just swim over to Bloom and just swim next to them. Not gonna talk, but just gonna be next to them for a bit.
That was a good quote. I've written that down.
It's at this point that Bloom, you're the first to notice movement below. There's like a little bit of light that you can see that seems to kind of catch, almost like it's coming from the inside of certain objects. But there's movement, which also looks like small pieces of light streaking out, but just very occasional, and then come back in, occasionally out, and then come back in as you start to get closer. And additionally, the angle on the kind of little compass starts to not be straight down, but move like it's pointing at a particular part of this huge coral structure. You're starting to get to the point where this is actually on like a kind of rough bed or an outcropping of the seabed.
I assume that the movement and the lights doesn't alarm Bloom at all. She's just sort of like...
Yeah, she just accepts that that's something that's here. What's everyone else's passive?
15.
So Ked will probably spot this quite soon, but may have a very different response.
13 for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Ked's the next one. So you also see what looks like some form of kind of coloured light, maybe with a slight lilac hue, just in and out of, it'll like kind of appear out of this item of clothing and then go back into this cupboard and then come out of this pile of coins and then go back into this small book.
Are they affecting these things?
There seems to be kind of like occasional ripples of energy, but they're not doing anything to those items.
Okay. We may have something going on. Just keep your eyes peeled.
Can you describe it?
Freaky deaky.
Thank you.
I think the ring's over this way.
Oh.
So as everyone following Bloom?
Yeah.
Bloom goes like following this to basically up to like kind of the large body, the wide base of this pile of things, and initially you can see that there's some kind of light through. All of this is built around something, but you can't quite see because the moment that you get so close, we're gonna have to roll initiative. So could everyone please roll me initiative?
Dang! Would have thunk it. Oh.
I would not have
Oh.
Any 20s and aboves? Any 15 to 20s?
18 for Bloom.
10 to 15s?
On you lot.
5 to 10s?
9.
8.
And V. Okay, so unfortunately, one of the bizarre lilac streaks of light goes first. And probably because Bloom is the closest, goes for Bloom. And is gonna actually, yeah. Oh no, well, you're all kind of walking with each other. You're all very close to each other.
No, we're all walking like very far from each other. Not mine, Chloe. But we're sort of just scattered.
This ripple of for any of you who use magic, you probably realise that there is a somewhat magical aspect to this. It is almost as if such intense magical activity and energy in this area has caused magic to just exist, independent of a caster, but akin almost to, none of you would know this because it's something that exists very readily in Eberron, but akin to almost a living spell. And this energy just darts through the water, kind of at times seeming to dissipate through it and then very concentrated. But as it whips through between all of you, I would like all of you to please make me a fresh wisdom saving throw, as there is suddenly this kind of pulse of purple magical energy through the water from these bizarre ripples that kind of orbit this core of the pile of lost objects.
Wisdom, did you say?
Yes. So Pegsy is sufficiently low. V?
19.
Ked?
12.
Bloom?
24.
V and Bloom, you feel this kind of they feel this magical energy just wash over them, and it is intense, but you manage to kind of hold on. I'm going to need both Ked and Pegsy, could both of you roll me a d10?
Did you need me to roll anything for Robin as well?
Oh yes, could you roll for Robin, please? 5, okay.
Oh,
and 10.
Imagine if it had been damaged.
Ked, you are suddenly stunned, as in mechanically stunned. And what happens is these creatures, these beings, these forces that are a mix of the magic that is at play, both of the wish spell and something else involved here, overwhelms you with something that you once lost. And you are suddenly overwhelmed by it. Do you want to describe what it is that you lost, or what it is that Ked fears he lost, that suddenly he is so overwhelmed that he is stunned and can't actually process things?
What happens is that as it goes through, suddenly his hearing is clear, and like the only thing occupying his mind and his thinking is a song, and it's a song that he hadn't heard, like he's not sure he's ever heard aloud, but it's a song that he has always, like, he used to have for himself for years, all through his youth, all until he started following the knowledge and following I'm gonna take a comment from someone else who's very good, like, ever since the silence of the library just took that song away, and right now he is deafened with it and can't shake it.
And meanwhile, with Pegsy, as this magical force just ripples through the water and pushes over you, it leaves something behind. And for anyone watching, it almost looks like this wave goes over Pegsy, and once it's past, this purple gem-like structure has encased Pegsy's torso, and you are now restrained by this bizarre gem that has grown over you. It is now Bloom's turn.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. That's changed what I was going to do massively. Damn
you technically, because of calm emotions, it can work in slightly different ways, and certain kind of indifferences. If you are harmed by a spell, or if you witness any friends being harmed, then that can drop and subside. So you can now, because you are now in a combat situation, if that would start coming back to Bloom.
Yeah. Okay. What I'm going to do, what Bloom is going to do, is... sorry, I didn't expect Pegsy to get got. We're all quite close to each other, right?
Yes.
What Bloom is going to do is to reach out beside them where Pegsy is and grab a hold of her sheath the sheath of her sword, which I'm assuming the sword is still in it because we were sort of surprised, right?
Yeah.
And this sort of like ripple of heat from like the fiery magic in their hands sort of spreads out along it, and sort of a light starts to glow from the top of the sheath as if the blade has been enchanted, and it becomes an elemental weapon. I'm gonna say it does it is now a +1 sword, so you get a +1 to damage rolls and a +1 to hit, and it also deals an extra d4 of thunder damage every time that you yeet with it.
Maybe I can move.
Yeah, here we are. And the other thing that I'm going to do, I was getting far ahead of myself in how many spells I could cast in a round.
Yeah. Any bonuses or
Yes.
movement?
I can't back up without provoking an attack of opportunity, can I?
No, this energy is just all around.
Then I will stand stock still and look intimidating.
Good stuff. Ked, you can roll at the end of your turn to resist this stun effect.
It says I can speak falteringly. Would that be able to do a spell cast in that, or is that a bit ambitious?
What does the spell have a vocal component?
Yeah.
I'm afraid it's not enough to cast a spell.
Cool.
But if you can make me a fresh save.
That's wisdom, is it?
Yes.
That is 26.
I don't know how it feels for Ked, because on the one hand he's no longer stunned, but on the other hand the song goes.
Sorry, not 26. My mistake. Sorry, I got that count wrong. It is 23. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Don't worry. The DC wasn't like, it's 24, mate. No, that's still, but the music echoes and disappears.
Okay.
And that is the end of your turn. Pegsy, Pegsy can try to use strength to bust out of this. If you make me a strength save.
Definitely just trying to like tense and go. A strength save, sorry. Loads more.
Oh,
sorry, a check. Sorry, it's a.
Well, 22. Not good.
That doesn't do it. It's DC 24.
That do it.
It's incredibly cool because it's just like this gem shatters and breaks as as Pegsy just opens up. That is your action. You can take a bonus. Pegsy can take a bonus or movement.
Can I flavorfully pull out my greatsword?
Absolutely.
Thanks.
V.
Oh, I should have said Robin got 13 on his save.
Okay. Let me just see how useful Robin's going to be. How many hit points does Robin have?
Loads. Like enough.
Loads.
Hang on.
Probably loads.
Famously,
Probably loads.
They've just got so much hit point.
Yup.
Just nothing but hit points.
Yeah.
Oh, so I thought it said it in the spell, but it might say under the sprite monster.
Be under your extras if you.
Yeah.
Don't think I added it as an extra.
So
I've got the sprites.
Yep.
Stats up. 1d4 or 2. I can roll a d4 or go 2. Not many.
as the magic extends out, because I rolled on the D10 table, it's just psychic damage to Robin, because the magical energy coursing through him is too much, and he just and you're holding an empty upside down glass in that moment.
Right.
But it is now your turn.
And is it? So I took it. It's kind of gone through me, so it's close enough to.
It's basically, it came into the middle of all four of you and just did this huge pulse out. And unfortunately, that was 9 points of damage on Robin.
So close.
Does Robin appear as a ghost or something? Like,
If he's a familiar, then is he not just?
He's not actually dead.
but also he
Back.
can't be lost.
Yeah. Familiars are never actually, because they can always be called back with the spell.
Yeah. Cool.
But good spot, good shout. What does V do?
Lots of that.
Sorry, I'm just trying to look and see if I've got anything that might be effective, because other than that, I'm just going to try and hit it with something.
There is like a kind of a kind of shape, a kind of form that you can target.
Yeah, I was just looking to see if Hex would make a difference, but it affects a roll that they would make, but they have obviously made us save against things, so that probably wouldn't.
There are other things that they might have to make rolls on, but you don't know yet.
No, but I have more than one spell slot. I'm a warlock. I have two. So as kind of he sees Robin disappear, he's going to kind of drop the glass and let it float off, and just spin his hand around in the air. And as it comes back, the same shadow kind of lengthens that made his arm, and lengthens out into a sword, which is Shadow Blade. It has a various number of properties. Finesse and light. Does that mean I would?
Finesse means you can use
Am I
either your
allowed to
dex or
roll?
your strength modifier on it.
I meant in like underwater, because I know there's different rules for fighting underwater.
I consider it something that comes out of shadow that is now corporeal, and it's also about the shape and the nature of the movement that's used for the weapon.
Is it with disadvantage then?
Yes.
I rolled a 13 and a 16, so.
Okay, so you've got that's without your modifier.
Yeah, so with modifier, I think that's a non-nat 20. Is it spell modifier? Sorry, I'm clicking between those.
As long as your modifier is +2 or more, you're good.
Yeah, I've got +3 dex.
Yep.
So even if it's not, then
you managed to hit it. Please roll me damage on that.
Okay. 15 damage.
15, and is that psychic damage?
Yes, I think that was right.
Okay. You see this bizarre kind of coalescence of magical energies, and it's like a color comes out of it and it goes blue. It's like you've almost taken an element out of it, and suddenly this energy is colored blue in the darkness of the water, and it's smaller. You can see that there's like a kind of shift there. However, we now go back to the top of the round. I believe so. And it is still there. And you're the one who's just hit it. So it is going to make a magical attack on you. That's a 24.
Yeah, that hits.
Yep. So that is 7. That is 11 psychic damage. As it suddenly wraps itself around you and then just dissipates in front of you as well. And then moves back so that it is still kind of within reach of all of you. It's never actually leaving, but it seems almost like attracted to the individuals who are here. And it is then Bloom's go.
What Bloom is going to do is you start to see sort of the bubbles hissing from their hands, like they're becoming steaming hot again and boiling through the water, and they're just going to like plunge both of their hands into the light of the spell, just because it's right there, like they're trying to grab it, almost like you would sort of quench like a blade in ironically in salt water.
Yeah.
And I'm going to attempt to cast Inflict Wounds at 2nd level.
Okay, go for it.
So I make a melee spell attack, and I roll a 2, and I add 8 to it. So that's a 10, Chloe.
Could you please roll this at advantage, whilst the words of Redfern talking about the burdens that you bear and the responsibilities that you have ring through your head as you try desperately to protect those around you and fulfill a promise?
That's a 21.
Hits.
Amazing. Okay. They plunge both of their hands into the center of the body of light, and I'm going to roll 4d10 for big boy damage.
Go for it. Yes, so that's fully clear to everyone. There is. It's at DM's discretion, but off the back of the tarot readings, some rolls may be made at advantage if they relate to the reading. What's the damage?
26 points of necrotic damage.
I forget how much Inflict Wounds does.
It's because you've got to get your squishy ass mage right up in their biz.
Yeah. Suddenly, red turns to green, blue turns to red, turns to green, turns to now just this yellow glow, as though elements have just been stripped back out of this kind of manifestation of magic. And Ked, it is Ked's go.
Lucky that Ked's underwater, because you would be able to see the weeping. He just stares at this little thing and grabs a book that just kind of whispers to it, "I'm sorry," rips out a page and casts a sacred flame at it, and you see the words in 4 or 5 different languages for fire just head towards it, and that's a 16 dex saving.
Okay, so 16 dex.
Delicious, Reese. Absolutely delicious.
That is a 14 on the save.
So that's 2d8. So that's for 5 damage.
The glow of this thing starts to like flicker and almost judder in and out, almost like it's kind of glitching in and out of the water. Is there anything else that Ked would like to do? I can't do. Oh no, could do a bonus for healing word. On 2
spells.
Yeah. Cantrip. No, that totally fair.
Cantrip.
It was a cantrip.
It's still.
Flame is a cantrip.
You
can cast a cantrip in a leveled spell.
Are we sure? I always thought that it was
definitely. Definitely.
Okay. If folks are confident, then
can also be a bonus action as well.
If it's both a bonus action and a cantrip, you're fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Promise.
I'm happy to go with that.
Cool. Okay. In which case, looking over at V and again, just same book, takes a little page and whispers something to it and throws in the word for health. heads towards, in 4 or 5 different languages, goes to Vi and wraps around him. And that will be that and that. That's for 8 healing.
Nice. Pegsy. What would Pegsy like to do?
For victory! I'm going to try and lift my great sword. It's all very slow, and I'm like, oh, hitting with sword, yes. So that's with disadvantage. The first one is a synthetic 20 to hit. That's all I have. Yes, I will roll some damage, I guess.
Sorry, I only heard one. So that's with. Sorry, I thought you just announced like your first dice roll, and you hadn't announced the second one.
Oh, sorry, no, that was the first. Sorry, my first attack, because I got 2 attacks. That's why I said first. Sorry,
that's why I was just like stonily waiting for more.
That was a synthetic 20 to hit at disadvantage.
Yeah, amazing.
Maybe roll your second attack as well, and then roll your damage altogether.
Yeah.
It's too late now. I did 9 points of damage. Okay, well, I'll remember that. Sorry, it was too late.
9 points is exactly what you needed.
I've got to do that. Okay, well, yes.
What does it look like as Pegsy takes magical energy out of existence?
Oh, gosh. Pegsy has no idea. Takes things with swords, and then they die, and everyone's happy.
Oh, so it's just Pegsy slices through, and there is just a kind of and almost like a few bubbles of water just quickly spiraling up to the surface, and there is
very pleased with herself, like that. Yeah.
There is a moment of quiet. You're still aware that there is this kind of energy, and you can, if you even look slightly to the side, any of you, the same kind of purplish colour that you saw with this magic initially, you can see little glints of it coming out and through items that are in this huge coral-like structure, and that there's further magic in there, and that's indeed where Bloom's arrow is pointing, is at the pile of lost objects.
The arrow's gone now, but because I
of course
had to move my concentration, but where it was pointing before,
that
was amazing.
Got it.
I think we've got to, if we can just try and grab this ring, and then I guess we're done.
Great.
I mean, is that the only one? Is Eva going to be able to leave now?
Look for a ring and look for some sort of magic turny off thingy, okay? And I'm going to start trying to dig through the pile.
Sure. Can you make me can you roll me investigation and also an athletics check for moving things?
Investigation is 17. Athletics is 21.
Okay, with the 21, you easily start kind of moving things aside. Things almost seem to have a little bit more weight than they should. You notice when Pegsy's trying to move fabrics, it's just a little bit more because Pegsy can feel this kind of magnetic draw, and moving things to the side exposes what seems to be some kind of this sphere of the same purple energy that is within all of this, that is easily 15 feet 15 feet radius. So is this huge orb of purple pulsating buzzing magical energy. What was the investigation roll?
17.
There's something at the center of it.
Can't quite pause.
Tell what?
And start writing down round purple swirly thingy.
everyone else can see this because a hole has now kind of been made that opens up onto this.
Look, found a thing.
What is it?
Higgs is writing something down.
Purple, swirly, round.
He would like to, like, with one hand on the coral, take another coin out and like throw it as far away as he can. So to literally kind of try and lose something to see what happens.
Oh, the coin gets thrown and then arcs back and sticks to the edge of the exposed orb. But you notice that it quivers. There's that tension again that there was in the compass needle earlier.
Right.
I would... Sorry.
No, if there's something that you want to do, please.
I would like to sit next to this purple swirling orb, and I'd like to take my book and just drop it, and somehow the dropping seems to take much longer, and so it would take roughly a minute for this book to drop and land on a spine and just flip open to a random page. And I would like to cast Augury.
So Augury, okay. I know that there's this kind of wheel and woe options.
Yeah. And the course of action is to try and go into this purple swirling bubble and retrieve whatever's in the middle.
As the book opens, one page has the words for wheel in many different languages, one has the words for woe in many different languages.
Dang it!
The rest of you are probably all quite familiar with this process.
Dang it!
Kate, it always says that. You always ask it. It always says that. I just
every time.
Really?
Every time.
every time.
Every time. Yep.
You always say
it's fine.
You always say that all the answers we need are in the book, but when all of the answers turn up at once, it's not that useful. I mean, thank you for trying. That came across as meaner than I meant it, but so far
every time you're trying to do something.
We might be able to overcome the magic of the sphere.
Should I hit it with my sword?
You can try.
Hit it with your sword, or I might be able to dispel it.
It's clearly a very magic-y purple thing. You should probably try some sort of powerful purple magics, anti-purple magics. That'll probably work.
Would you like to hit it with your sword?
Yes.
I mean, you know that answer's going to be yes. Why did you ask the question?
Because I knew that she would say yes.
No,
my
that's
sword's
fair.
my sword's all glowy and cool right now. Did you notice? Do you see all the glowy cool?
That's absolutely incredible. Only someone incredibly powerful must have been able to do that.
Yes, I know. It was you. I saw you. You're a good swordsmith. I hit it with my great sword at disadvantage. 14. Synthetic 20. 21 in fact, because I forgot the +1 to hit.
So, I'm not going to ask you to roll damage.
Because I'm dead.
You're not dead, because it's your great sword that touches it, but
oh, my great sword's dead. Oh.
with that swing and going through it so quickly, you see it's almost like the orb tries to kind of swallow and take in the sword, but with being effective with your attack roll, Pegsy manages to whip it back out, and the orb starts to try and reform around the kind of slight tear that was formed in it.
I'm not going to hit it anymore.
You want me to give something a go? I mean, I'm being polite. I'm waiting for an answer. You can say no. I might as well do it anyway, but...
Throw magic things at it. Come on.
Okay, right, everyone get back a bit. It'll just kind of swim backwards, turn around, and cast the Warlock one. Eldritch
Blast!
That's it.
Okay. Roll me an attack roll with Eldritch Blast. I'm going to rule that this is not at disadvantage because it's just magic streaking forth.
It's 2 streaks as well, so I think, do I roll for them separate?
Yeah.
Two
blasts.
23 and 20. None that.
As these streaks...
They look like
sorry.
They look like it's almost like lightning, but instead of actual bolts of lightning, it's kind of these stark silhouettes of tree branches. Yeah.
The streaks that look like dark tree branches pierce through and split straight through to the other side. Any one of the characters who hasn't already seen that there is something in the center, it gets clipped by these tree branches and you see the entire thing shudder briefly and then stabilize. But you can probably now notice more clearly that there is something in the center of this, suspended and also again kind of quivering with tension.
Can I touch the orb?
Go for it. Touch the orb. What are you trying to do?
I can still try and dispel it.
Yeah, there was a dispel spell on offer.
I'm just gonna touch it and see.
You take 11 points of psychic damage.
Cool. And it's like, no. Okay, don't touch it. Don't touch it. It's bad. It's real bad.
Yes,
You also...
I didn't think I went back the way there. I mean, I literally...
At the moment that Ked touches and feels that psychic damage come through, the way that psychic damage presents is the knowledge and the understanding of what this orb is, because it is so much to mentally process. And Ked now knows that if he reached into this orb to try and retrieve something that was lost, it would appear and it would come to him, and that maybe there's only enough strength to do that like once because of the strength of this magic. And also it's almost like you immediately like zooms in on what is at the core of this, and it's a gem, like the gems that were encasing Pegsy. And it's something about something being free, but something also being trapped simultaneously that has generated this magical point of tension. And as that understanding of anything that's lost can be found within this, but there is also something trapped at the center of it that right now can't be lost but can't be freed, that waves over you and hits you with that magical with the psychic damage.
Dang it. Oh.
Are you all right?
Oh, this ain't gonna be pretty. Okay.
How are your ears?
What? Ears are fine.
Still internal.
I got feathers covering them. They're fine.
That's good.
There's something in the middle of that. I mean...
Yeah, I saw it. Look, there it is. Right there.
It's some sort of gem. It's the thing that's making this tension
Anyone who's
going on.
good with magic can roll Arcana. Anyone who wants to try can roll Arcana.
Should I roll
I'm
Arcana
not
as
that
well?
kind of caster.
I have rolled a 16 on the dice plus 4. I have rolled a dirty 20.
Nice.
Oof. I have rolled a 12.
Bloom, it's the mention of a gem, and Bloom's not sure exactly where this has come from, when he'd heard about this or when he came across this spell. He's aware of a spell that can imprison someone, a very high, the highest level spell that can imprison someone within a gem, and would explicitly stand in opposition to any desire for that individual in the gem to be returned to someone.
It's two incredibly powerful magical forces trying to destroy each other, trying to unact each other. It's an irresistible force and an unstoppable object, and I don't know if I'm going to be strong enough to overpower this spell.
So there's no off switch.
Bloom would know that such spells can be cast with a requirement where, if satisfied, the spell ends. But that requirement is typically known to the caster.
Is there no way you can tip the scales in favor one way or the other?
Might be. The one is trying to keep someone contained in the gem as a person in there, and the other is trying to return all lost things. We should have brought Ava along. She would know more, but I could.
Go back and ask her. That would help if we go back and ask her anything. It's not. We've got a while breathing under this water, right?
What's all the purpley stuff?
Actually, I forgot to check. How long do we have? Really, did anyone check? I never asked.
From the time that it took you to actually walk down, which we kind of sped through, by the time you went back up and then came back down and then went back up, you don't have enough for 2 journeys. You can't go back up to consult.
What's the purpley stuff around it?
There seems to be magical fallout, as it were.
It's just pulling between the two. Okay.
Ked, do you think if I cast some magic on myself to help me, you would? Is there anything that you could do that would be able to offer me guidance? I say in character.
Good. Right now, it's not a matter of. I don't think it's a matter of. Well, what are you planning on doing, Bloom?
If I can make my ability to understand the situation more powerful, and then try to dispel one of the effects, I could do with all the numerical adding up that I possibly could get.
Honestly, if we're going to do that, I think I got to find. If one of two of us is going to find some way of getting knowledge, I think it's probably going to be me.
Okay.
I would. Sorry, yeah.
Why does this wish spell affect things that we've lost too? Because it's ongoing.
It's the wording of it is return to me that which is lost.
Oh, so lost. So is there anything,
everything's lost.
Is there anything that we've lost that we could try and think about to get back, but would itself, I don't know, counter your magical prison thing that you've got going on?
Well, I tried it with the coin. The coin came back.
Is there anything that isn't here right now that would be good if it was here? That we could find, like the power to. No, I haven't lost that.
Honestly, I ain't never lost a wish spell scroll. That would make me so happy right now. But I mean, that probably just upset the balance even more.
Or
There's never
perhaps-
been a spell called Whim. I'd quite like to be able to cast Whim.
It just makes whimsical things. You know that.
It'd be perfect for me. I'd love that.
Perhaps instead we would have to let go of something that we want to find.
It sounds about right.
Don't understand. What?
Well, could I? Where is it? I would like to channel my divinity,
Okay.
if possible, and become an expert in this spell.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is knowledge of the ages.
Okay.
Knowledge of the ages. I'd like to understand what the requirement could be.
So would knowledge of the ages be able to give you the information on a specific casting the spell?
I think it's just proficiency with any skill or tool. So skill.
Can you-
I suppose.
Can you roll me whichever's higher, insight or arcana, and can you roll me at advantage since Ked's fortune telling from Redfern said that he would be dealing with imprisonment?
It's 26.
From the instances that you've heard of, where people have sometimes done this kind of thing out of spite, often a condition has been something that they've found poetical along the lines of something like, you'll be freed when someone risks their lives or sacrifices something they love for your sake. And for whatever reason, that's what you intuit is the condition here.
So I think Bloom is kind of on the money there with the idea of sacrifice.
You know, I didn't actually think the cards were. That was because I mean, he did say they were true, but I didn't really think. I mean, it's probably just a coincidence, isn't it? Do you think it's just a coincidence?
I think Redfern seems to know what he's doing.
I think Pegsy is sort of looking at the orb and puts the greatsword away, and pulls out the book and says, "I didn't write down the last few things that happened. I didn't have a chance to write it down. But maybe it doesn't matter now. Maybe I'll just maybe I just remember it. I can probably just remember it, or falling off the horse. That was the haunted library. I got the thing about I'll probably just remember it. It's probably fine.
Well,
it'll work, won't it?
Pixie, if you don't, we're here to tell you there's something to be said for a group of friends getting together and telling a story together.
Even after it's... Sorry, Karen.
Yeah, the minor illusion, just the image of the haunted library and a couple of books floating around.
No, that's better than... That's so much better than... Oh. I don't know why I was bothering writing it down for, really.
Knowledge for your own self is admirable. It's always admirable.
After this is all over and, you know, we're all terribly rich and living in houses in the country, you promise we'll talk about it, right?
Am I going to have trouble stopping me talking about it?
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't want you to do this if you don't. I don't know.
The fates have spoken. I was going to get someone to write a storybook, actually, of our adventures with all the, but describing it better. I'm not very good at the describing things. I was going to get someone to write it all down properly so that people could read it. Oh well. And I'll go over to the purple thing and say, I got you a it was a post box or something. Oh, okay. Here you go. And I just throw it. Sorry.
You threw
That's a perfect opportunity.
Beautiful.
For yeet.
You throw the book into the orb, and the moment that it is absorbed in there, you see that this kind of the tension, and it's almost also like a surface tension on the orb, just pops. The gem shatters, and out of it you suddenly see forming in the water, fully formed, life-size, having just been only a couple of inches tall, a elven-looking individual who has certain similar features to Ava, definitely certain same hair and such like, just appears out there, whilst everything else starts to collapse inwards. All of those objects, all of those books, but this person is able just to kind of swim out, can't breathe underwater because doesn't have water breathing. And what you feel is all of these things, you can feel the magic kind of rushing past, but weirdly almost rushing down over you and rushing back up over you, and you feel certain magics pass through you somehow, and it's like there's still aftershocks of this happening. If you were to grab this man, because this is a man, this is Rafir, actually it's Ava's brother as it happens, if you were to grab him and then use water walk in terms of floating between at least two of you, you would be able to take him up to the surface. I assume you'll kind of readily do that.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's bizarre. As you float up to the surface, all of these objects, all of these items fall down, and you can see them almost like dissipating away around you to different sides of you and such like. V, you start feeling a little bit dizzy to be going up so far, and you know floaters that you get in your eyes. You start getting floaters, but each one of them is a leaf of a different season that you see starting to drift past your vision, reminding you of the different aspects of your Eladrin self as you kind of float up. Ked, you can feel your heart thumping in your chest so far as you start to see the ship now not propped up on items and things and all these lost elements starts to creak and submerge itself, and your heart is thumping in your chest, but you realize there's something weird about the rhythm, and it's going at the rhythm of the song that you heard, and you still go rising further and further up. And Bloom, Grace, could you roll me a d12 please? I know this is a bit of an odd one.
A 7.
It's hard to tell now, but you know that there's something different. There's something that's been gifted. There's something that's been given. And as you see all of these material objects around you just falling away and falling to the wayside, you have now gained a proficiency in medicine. And whether it's a different type of making things, whether it's a different type of repairing or healing or creating, that has come to Bloom as you're still going up, almost breaking the surface, and all of you break the surface, the one little dot of light over there by Redfern, and as the ship pulls down, you can see that the ghosts have too been able to float away, have been able to be released, and you can see Vide, a very scraggly looking cat, and Ava all sat on this piece of driftwood looking at you.
Oh, thank
and
goodness.
Whilst you are able to come up to the surface and walk on this water and walk to rejoin with Redfern, to rejoin with Vide and Ava, rejoin Rafir with Ava, Pegsy, as you walk along you do see one thing, and it is your book, but it is completely blank on the pages which you can still write on, which you can fill with whatever you want, which might not be records but can be whatever words you want. And with that, picking those items up and walking on the water in the middle of this now downed shipwreck, that is where we are going to end this session. I'm going to do this super quickly because there was a lot of things to get through there, but thank you so much everyone for watching. We are doing the 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. British Summer Time for the next 5 weeks. We've got 5 more one-shots. We also have other shows. Do check out youtube.com/Adventurers Wanted, and of course twitch.tv/Adventurers Wanted for all our future streams. Our past streams are all on YouTube. A big thanks again to Ultra Pro and D&D Beyond, who sponsor everything we do, and we could not do this without them, so thank you very much. And if you want to support us and get things like this as playable modules, then head over to patreon.com/Adventurers Wanted. I believe that's everything. We're on Twitter at Adventurers250, where you can follow us and see other things that we're doing. But other than that, we will leave it there for tonight. So goodbye.
Thank you, Chloe.
Thank you, Chloe.